was basically the Flagstaff private boundary, and then along Schultz Pass Road. So we went out for public comment with a proposed action for a variety of trails and trailheads, improvements, maintenance.
If everybody could please mute, sorry. Yeah, we're getting, there we go. Sorry.
All right. Yeah, it sounds nice and clear now. Thanks. So we went out for a 45-day scoping period starting in August. And, we didn't have any face-to-face public meetings, obviously with COVID, but we did one live kind of presentation in September. And really great community feedback on this project, which isn't a huge surprise with how important this place is to so many people. And we got about 500 comments back, and out of those 500, we kind of found about 1,200 individual comments, about 1,200 different things on the proposal. So this fall, we had a lot of work going through those comments, and really made the decision that there weren't very large issues that we're going to change our course, and that we were going to proceed with this project. And so we made some modifications to the proposed action, and we're in a spot now where we're feeling pretty good about the modifications, and we're starting to analyze those with our specialists like hydrologists and biologists and archaeologists. And so we're working on an analysis, and we'll be releasing a draft findings of those analysis probably later in April. But I wanted to take the opportunity to share this with this group. And I think we can kind of go to the next slide of where we are and where we're headed here. So this is kind of a screenshot of the map, and there's a lot going on here of the proposed action as it stands today, and a lot of different colors here. And so we tried to highlight the designed use for all the trails that we would propose. And so the orange, or the most common, is your typical trail, open to all uses, designed for all uses, friendly for horses, friendly for bicycles and hikers. And then you can see some other colors. I think the lighter pink is trails that are designed for hiking only. So they're a little bit steeper, tighter turns, wouldn't be as safe for horses or bikes. And then there's a few of these lighter blue trails, which are designed for mountain bikes exclusively. And kind of a higher level of challenge than we'd see on a lot of trails. And then in purple there, you see kind of an urban trail design, and typically those trails are right around the urban interface. And so for this group, I think, focusing on the east side of things would be good. And then the other color I'd just point out is red, which are either unauthorized trails or system trails that we're going to decommission and close and put to bed. So I think if you go to the next slide, let's see where we're at.
Pat, the pack trails that are listed on there, which seem to be the majority of coming our direction, what is a pack trail?
Yeah, so those are designed primarily for horse use, equestrians, so pack stock. That's what that means.
Okay.
And I think we'll focus in a little bit here. So this slide kind of shows what's in that project footprint right now. We've got about 52 miles of forest system trails up there right now. And so with our proposed action and looking at all the public comments, we're looking to grow that system pretty substantially. Let me see, I can't see my whole screen here. So looking to adopt some of these unauthorized trails, and then looking to realign some trails and build new trails. And so looking at a pretty big system here is what we're bringing forward. And so I think the next slide zooms in just a little bit more in the area that overlaps with your guys' planning area. And so it was really great that Liz and Melissa and I have been talking over the last couple months now, I guess. And really trying to capture something that was has been talked about for a long time, and something the Forest Service and the county were working on together probably about 10 years ago or more. But this concept of the Timberline Trail, I believe is what it was called, which would be a way for folks to use the forest to get from the Timberline area into the city of Flagstaff. And so we've worked with Liz and Melissa to try to show those connections on the map. It's not really called out here, but you can kind of see that piece of real estate just west of Horseman's Lodge and south of Eldon Springs, making that connection. And then having an urban trail around Eldon and Pueblo to bring folks into the Flagstaff City urban trail that is currently on, I think, Snowflake down in that corner. Yeah.
Yep, Snowflake.
Yeah. So I think that was most of what I wanted to bring to folks. We do have a pretty standard project website that we have for all of our Forest Service projects, and folks can go ahead and look at the maps on there if you want. And I'm going to put those in the chat when I'm done. I'll send a link so folks can click in there. And if you go to that next slide, Melissa, this shows the public scoping maps and the detail of the proposal back from August. Like I said, you guys are kind of getting a sneak preview in the modified proposed action tonight, so you won't see the map that we were showing in the slide, but gives you a really good overview of the purpose and need for this project. There's a way to subscribe for email updates on this page, but I'm happy to put my email in the chat here, and that might be the most direct way. If you send me an email, want to stay up to date on this, if you want to receive the draft analysis here in 5 or 6 weeks, it would be great for this group to give us feedback on that. So now I'd open it up to questions if folks have questions about the timeline process.
Melissa, before you close that out, could you go back one more slide?
Yeah, we can go back to the map. Yeah.
So
Everyone
Pat,
loves maps.
Yeah, the trail there that's just to the right of 9180. Is that the one that you're talking about as the connector to get into Flag?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so where's the access to that from Doney Park?
So you would pick that up on the Eldon Springs Road, off the Eldon Springs Road.
Okay, so you'd have, okay.
So you can come there. The other thing is the Deer Hill Trail, which is not really shown here, which leaves the Little Eldon Springs Horse Camp and parallels west of Timberline. Those would all connect that way. And then that trail would bring you down to Sandy Seep Trailhead. And then we'd have a bigger urban trail from there down into town.
So there really isn't a good access then without starting on 89 into this, as it's currently laid out. Is that correct?
Yeah, and a lot of that has to do with our project boundaries. The project basically ends at that 743 there, which is the gas line.
Gotcha.
So
That's
in future plannings, or if this group brings some recommendations for what it should look like north of us, that's something that we could analyze in the future. But we
Actually,
want to
I think this is Saylor, and I think this is really fantastic.
Isn't it? Yay!
Yeah. And I really don't know where else we would put access to Doney Park. Clearly, we'd have to cross 89 to get to Forest Service right there. I mean, you can go down through like Picture Canyon and under that way. Or if you are a little bit further, if you could come across, go around Old Caves Crater, grab the landfill, Cinder Hills, was it Cinder Hills landfill or whatever, and take that across 89 and catch it from there as well. But I don't think there's really any way to catch a trail in without crossing 9. And 556 is very easily accessible from Silver Saddle. Very simple. I've done that quite a few times. So my question is on 9180, that's the Forest Service road that's already there. Are you going to plan to do any sort of, I've been on that road. The only thing I found was that maybe it was just a little confusing to follow. So is there any plans then on that piece to do sort of like more signage, or are you actually going to do some trail work on the road? What is your plan?
So The road itself, I think we're going to leave as is, but there's like you said, a lot of spur roads and unauthorized roads off of that. And so when we be building this new trail across that landscape, we'd be looking to make sure that we're closing those kind of confusing junctions that aren't authorized. So I do think there's some things to do, especially as you get a little further up that road. It goes up the ridge and gets near Little Eldon Trail, and there's some spurs off of that we know we want to close. And then the trail itself, would be new construction. Our typical single track, about 2 feet wide of tread, and so I think it'd be pretty easy to follow once we build that new trail through there.
Yeah, well, I just want to thank you. I just think this is wonderful stuff because, yeah, I don't like to ride my bike on 89, but I sure don't mind getting into the forest. So this is great stuff.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thanks for the feedback. And the other thing I didn't mention, I'd add as we're looking at this map, so you can see down on the bottom, Townsend Winona comes in to meet 89 there. And the Arizona Trail currently goes through a culvert to the south of that junction. And we'd be,
Yeah, that's the Picture Canyon hookup.
Right.
Picture
Right.
Canyon hookup. And I don't know if this is part of your transportation plan to have some better bike lanes, I think, through that area. And I think those kind of connections from Townsend Winona we'd be able to have people cross at that light and get onto the urban trail right in that junction. So I think that would be a good way to get people over from Costanino and Slayton Ranch and all that kind of country to the east.
So you're suggesting right there at Townsend Winona when it connects to 89.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because this is Liz, because, hey, Patrick, thank you for a great presentation and bringing this. I'm so excited you brought it to us. So thank you. But my thing was, I was asking, like with Melissa in the transportation, we were talking more about connection on the east side of 89 would be more at Burris because that school and the vet center and Doney Park Water is all there. And they were thinking of a connection because the school wants to expand its property. But you're saying Townsend Winona crossing? I haven't heard that. And then I also heard there's also a crossing to cross 89 over to those paths at Silver Saddle. There's actually a crosswalk, and we were proposing also up at Campbell. I think Dave Wessel was saying if we're going to talk about connection, that would be a good way to go. But the one at Burris is what I've heard a lot about. But you're saying maybe right at Townsend Winona.
Well, I'm just saying that, if your plan is to improve some of that pedestrian and bicycle access along Townsend Winona, then you'd have a light and you could get on these
Okay.
trails
Yeah,
easily.
there's already a light there. So
Right.
Yeah.
we can talk further about, what
Okay.
potentially recommendations the plan might have for that. Because there's already a wide striped shoulder along Townsend Winona for bicycling and things like
Right.
that. So yeah,
Okay.
okay.
I think
perfect.
that would provide a good connection. And I think the work that this group is doing and recommending, there's a lot of potential in your guys' whole planning area. But we wanted to make sure as we're cruising along on this Forest Service planning project, we didn't miss something. So this might not be perfect. And there may be some things that we look at later.
Right.
And especially as it relates towards Campbell and north of Eldon Springs, I think there's a lot of potential there for connections and better improvement.
Correct.
So Melissa, if you could, I guess, go to that last slide so everybody that wants to can copy down contact information for Pat. And I think, Pat, you said you were going to share that in the chat.
Yeah, I'm going to share both the project website with you guys in the chat and mine and Christine, who's my counterpart as the team leader on the project. So send us an email and then we can get you guys on the mailing list and keep you informed as we move to more public comment probably in April. And I didn't really share the timeline for us there. So we'll release this draft in April and take public comments, I think, for 30 or 45 days. I'm not quite sure. And then we'll take those comments and address the analysis and then come out with a final decision, probably late in the summer or in September. And then we'll be looking in the spring of 22 to start construction and implementation. So we're really excited how fast things are going. So well, it's been a slow start, but now in the last 12 months, it's been going really well.
So Pat, the big question is there funding available to do this?
Yeah, and there's obviously
Okay.
not funding for everything.
Yeah,
So the
that's great.
answer is no. We are optimistic. We've got some partners, the Flagstaff Trail Initiative, who is a nonprofit that's getting started. They kind of started with a strategic plan about 2 years ago, and really what they're focused on is collaborating with businesses and tourism in the city of Flagstaff and around the city of Flagstaff to allocate funds towards trail maintenance and recreation on public lands. So I think they're going to be a strong fundraising opportunity for funding some of this. There is also the Great American Outdoors Act that passed this summer, and it authorized the Forest Service to spend $285 million a year for deferred maintenance for Forest Service facilities, trails, and roads. And so for the next 5 years, it's this huge influx of money. Part of that's economic driven to put contractors to work and help economies across rural areas. And so we continue to kind of compete for those kind of fundings for the next 5 years. And so we're optimistic that we can deal with some of the trail maintenance with some of those funds that'll be coming our way in the next 5 years. So the answer isn't yes, we have 100 miles of new trail and we have every dollar figured out for it. Certainly not, but we're optimistic that things are going to start lining up pretty well. So after we have this decision done, we'll be collaborating with Flagstaff Trail Initiative to do some public outreach to try to help us decide on what priorities are and where we should focus our limited funding. What are the most important parts of this project? And so we'll be looking to do that next winter so that in the spring we kind of know what the greatest good is and the best places to start working. So.
Excellent. And perhaps Supervisors Vesquez and Begay could also keep in mind that if there's opportunities for the county to partner with you on some of this, I'm sure they get lots of support from the folks out here on that.
Yeah, and we've got a long history with both of these districts and doing recreation projects in both of those districts. And it wasn't too long ago, I remember working on some of the Brandis Trail with Liz, and so definitely want to keep you guys informed and make sure we're meeting your guys' priorities. And it's kind of a big project area, and it has a lot of different neighborhoods attached to this large project. And so we want to make sure that we're hearing from everybody and taking care of all the things we need to. So I'll put those links and emails in the chat, and then I'm going to drop off and let you guys keep cruising. So I'd open it up one more time for more questions from the public or from the community.
And I see
Hey,
Brian
Pat.
had his hand up.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, Pat, you said that you still had a survey or questions that you're allowing people to give comments. Is that going to be, are you posting that in the links also? Or how do we get to that?
Yeah, it's not open yet. So we're finishing our analysis of the maps that I showed you. And our timeline is probably in the next 5 to 6 weeks, we'll be releasing that. So if you're interested in giving comments, please send me or Christine here an email, and I'll link those emails. And then we'll put your contact into a mailing list and make sure that you get that notification.
Would you send that to Melissa and then have her send it on to us so that we can take a look at it? Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So yeah, look for that in about 5 to 6 weeks.
Well, thank you very much, Pat. We appreciate.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me. And I'm just trying to think of other things I can plug while I have this audience. Is always good.
Don't you need trail maintenance volunteers?
Yeah, there you go.
So we are definitely going to have need a lot of community support and do a lot of volunteer events out there starting next summer. So it'd be great to have your guys' contacts so you can help us recruit for that. The only thing I wanted to mention tonight was some projects upcoming for this summer. Kind of a big project for us is we're working on some boundary management of the Cinder Hills OHV area. And so we'll have some crews this summer working on installing some pipe fences on the west side of the OHV area, kind of away from the residential area, to try to better define what the OHV area is. And we've had some community meetings and certainly know that's a need. So you'll see the Forest Service out there, on Sunset and 776 quite a bit this summer, working on some boundary work out there. So
Great. And is that also volunteer needing, and we just email you because you said it's not trails, but it's actually helping with boundaries, or you just have to have paid employees out there sweating?
So we do have some paid employees with a really big focus, but we're working with the Friends of Northern Arizona Forest, and they're gonna be doing
right.
some
Okay.
fence work, and I think we will have some volunteer events out there. So yeah, definitely send me an email if that's something
Okay.
you're interested in.
Yep.
And I think we'll be doing some bigger community recruitment when we get closer to that in May, I think.
Okay. Perfect.
All right. I think it's time to move on to agenda item number 4.
Thanks
All
for
right.
having me.
Hey,
Good
Pat, I
night,
just want to say
Patrick.
thank you. This is a great,
Yes.
great
This
timing
is-
on these projects coming together. And thanks to Liz for initiating contact with you.
Yeah. that
And
was
thanks for
great.
making it happen. But it takes a village, but thanks, Melissa, for getting him here. Great.
We really appreciate it, Pat. We'll be in touch.
Yeah.
Okay. And Rob, I do believe Bernice joined us.
Oh, yep, I noticed that. Welcome, Bernice. Could you do a quick introduction for yourself there?
Hi, I'm so sorry I'm late. I've just got too many candles burning at both ends. And anyway, I didn't plan on being late. I've been in Flagstaff 44 years plus, and I live out in Doney Park. I have horses. My kids were in 4-H. We were in Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts and all the sports and everything. And I love Doney Park. I'd like to see it stay the way it is. I feel like a lot of people do on the survey, so glad I'm here. Thanks.
Thank you, Bernice. And Melissa's going to take us to the first vision statement for review here.
Okay. Can you see the screen? Did it pop
Yes,
up?
we can.
All
Yep.
right. So, and
One thing before we start on these, I'd like to remind everyone of the kind of ground rules that we had established before, which is our objective here is to accomplish a good capture of the vision without trying to wordsmith it to death here tonight. So we want to make sure the concepts are adequately captured, and we'll count on the skilled resources available at the county there to make sure the wordsmithing is done to everyone's happiness here before we actually go public with it.
I just want to say that was really subtle, Rob, and I appreciated it.
Subtle might not be my strong suit.
No, I thought it was great. Thank you.
okay, so this is the updates. We had looked at these in February and the first meeting on the 11th. And then this is the version that was edited for your eyes today. And does anyone need this read out loud if you can't see it?
Well, the folks that are is there anyone left on the phone still?
I
Because
think
they
there are a
won't
few
be able to
people.
Then we will need to read it so
All right,
that
I'll go ahead and read it. So the first one is, and I just need to minimize this. Hang on a second. The first one is natural resources, open space, and environment. So this is the vision, part of a 4-part vision. And the way it reads currently, our community's priority for the future of Doney Park, Timberline, Fernwood is to maintain and protect the natural environment, resources, and open space that reflect our rural lifestyle and values. We value the biodiversity of our native flora and fauna and the open space that surrounds our community. Access to public lands, trails, and multi-use path systems is important to maintain our quality of life, and we encourage our partners and neighbors to establish safe and legal access easements to these amenities. So that was the current version.
anyone have any objections? Hearing none, we will move on.
Okay, and the next one is community character and values. Our community character is influenced by our rich cultural and historic diversity, natural environment and open space, expansive vistas, dark skies, the natural quiet, and rural lifestyle. The biodiversity of the diversity of our community is reflected in our history and place names: Doney Park, Timberline, Fernwood, Winona, Cosnino. Our closely connected community reflects our independent lifestyle, recognizes our reliance on each other for social support, and strives to be inclusive, fair, and safe. Our community character is reflected in design standards that demonstrate our appreciation for a distinctive variety of building styles, multitude of communities, and geographic differences within our planning area.
I'm Bernice. Let me, I've been looking at that, and I thought about some things that might make it a little more valuable, at least to me. The last statement or the last sentence where it says, our community character is reflected in design standards that demonstrate our appreciation for, I'd like to add in large lots and acreages that, and I guess, and a variety of building styles. You know, I wrote this and now it doesn't make sense because I've done too much today. For a distinctive variety of building styles, multitude of communities, and geographic differences in our planning area that reflect country living at its best. Something like that. I know I didn't say it exactly as I've got arrows here and parentheses and like move this over there. But I liked adding the large lots and acreages and within our planned area that reflect country living at its best. I want to keep this area country. I don't want it urbanized. I don't want it, you know, made into a sub-community of Flagstaff that, you know, is just all about growth and multi-unit housing and multi-level apartments and things like that.
Bernice, just out of curiosity, I agree with all that you're saying, and I value all of those things too, highly. That's why I like being out here.
Yes.
Do you feel, you know, as far as the large lot, since it's so difficult to say that, you feel like, I kind of felt like open space sort of gave me the image of that, but you know, did you feel like that just didn't go far enough toward creating a picture of open spaces?
Well, I'm worried about our large lot sizes and acreages and what the majority of the people on the survey wanted to keep Doney Park like it is. And I think open space, I'm worried about clustered developments with more commercialization and, you know, just a lot more density. I'm worried about our septic systems. I'm worried about, I'm concerned about preserving our clean water, and getting more and bigger septics out here are certainly going to add to possibility of the pollution that goes into our water system. But I really like having, you know, reiterating the large lots and acreages. And I'm starting to think that, you know, minimum lot size, 1 acre, you know, is that going to be all over? Because right now I've been talking to a lot of people that are concerned. We're seeing multiple buildings on properties, on 1 acre properties, 2.5 acre properties. You know, right now we can have an additional dwelling unit, but if we downsize to 1 acre and have an additional dwelling unit, that's going to make it really tough out here to have animals and you know, it's going to really add to the density.
I think I agree with you, Bernice. And you know what, Sailor? I think what she's trying to say is density. When you say large lots, you think of less density, because in Belmont, I have a friend that lived in those townhouses, and they're groovy townhouses. I totally get it. She goes, we've got a large space out here. We got an open space. It's that fountain That's what she's talking about, the fountain in Belmont, you know, that neighborhood on the right side when you first go into it, Belmont, those condos or little houses out there.
Yeah, I think
And they
that's.
have no,
I think
is that,
actually, yeah.
Yeah.
And
she was,
space.
okay. And so I think Bernice just doesn't want it to be dense. And then when people say open space, they think of thinking.
Melissa, haven't we talked about both open space and lot size in some of the other visions?
We have, and I just want to point out, if I may just interject here. So Belmont is a very different community than Doney Park, Timberline, Fernwood. Their zoning is completely different. They are zoned for that type of unit, and there's nothing in Doney Park, Timberline, Fernwood that is similar. So just to kind of, you know, bring that you know,
There's very
analogy,
little
just to
risk
kind of
of
put that into context there. And there is a lot of discussion about lot size in the goals and policies of particularly land use and also the community character. So and I thought we've talked about that for this
No.
vision, you know, to actually state that is then starting to get into, it's bleeding the line between a vision statement and your goals. So the goals do talk a lot about large lot sizes, and we have yet to cover, we will, next month, we will be jumping into the land use goals and policies. So
I have an
Bernice,
idea.
did you have some specific edits you could send to me? I mean, we
Yeah.
have worked on this, you know, for several months now.
Right,
And
but we worked on most of it before we had our survey.
well, actually,
And-
I think that
yeah.
we've worked on it since the survey as well. So,
Yeah,
you know.
we have, but I think, you know, we're getting down to the wires here, and I'm starting to think this is really important for the future zoning of this area. And if we zone, like we're talking about, minimum 1 acre, and then everybody gets an additional dwelling unit, that cuts it down to a half an acre. That's a lot of people in a lot of places.
But if
And-
we're gonna deal with it in the goals, maybe then like, so do you feel, I mean, so Melissa, you're saying like we're gonna deal with some of those more, and I understand what you're saying. And also Melissa, we're like, this is a vision, like this is a general thing, you know, and then we're gonna break things down a little bit more.
Yeah.
So like Bernice, I don't know, like maybe would you feel comfortable if we you know looked at that in the goals? Because I think I know what you're saying. I think that is really important, but I can also see how we can't get down to the nitty gritty in the vision statement.
Right, but this.
Can I interject here for a minute, please? Thank you, Bernice. This is Brian Bates. I'm going back and reading this, and it says our community character is reflected in the design standards. So that goes right back to the
Design review overlay.
Yes, exactly. Thank you. And so that's what, if I were on the Planning and Zoning Commission, I'd go, well, we got to go back to the design standards and see if this next building or if this proposed development is complying with the layout of the land in the region that it's being asked to, that they're asked for a permit. And then it says a distinct variety of building styles. I think we have that. Multiple communities, we do. And then I get the point of density, and I think you're on track there, but is that covered in geographic differences? Or are you talking more about the geography of the landscape, or are we talking about the geography of the humanscape?
Whoa, that was deep, Brian.
Well, I didn't mean to go deep.
I figured out how
Humanscape blew my mind. Anyway, go ahead.
I figured out how I wrote this and how it made sense to me when I wrote it. For the last paragraph, our community character is reflected in design standards that demonstrate our appreciation for large lots and areas and variety of building styles, community pride, and geographic differences within our planning area that reflect country living at its best. Can I send that to you in the chat?
Sure.
Okay.
You can send it in the chat, and I think it would be good to, while you're doing that, Bernice, can we move on to the next to the next two sections so we can
Sure,
see how those
sure.
look. And then it seems like perhaps this is the one that might need more work next time if you're going to put some suggestive language in there. Does that make sense?
Yeah, thank you. I'll
Okay.
go ahead and type it in right now.
All right. And you can also email it, whatever's easier, but put
Okay,
it,
well,
that's
you know,
fine.
it's not letting me chat with anybody except for you, Melissa.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah, we do have it set up that way, but you can go ahead and put it in there, then I can share it.
Okay, all right.
All right. And then, so the next one, Rob, would you like to move on to the next?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Yep.
So the next section has been trimmed down quite a bit, and it's land use, growth, development, and partnerships. Our area plan supports responsible land use and planned growth that maintains our rural lifestyle and character. We embrace a future that accommodates new residents while ensuring that new development is integrated into our community in a manner that respects cultural and historic resources, supports community values and aesthetics, and considers the environment and long-term viability of natural habitat and water resources.
Everyone good with this?
Mhm.
All right. Melissa, we can move on.
Okay. I see a comment about an Oxford comma. We'll have to fix that. Thanks. All right.
I'm glad you
That person just violated the wordsmithing rule.
Oh dear.
It was quiet. It was okay. The last portion of the 5-section vision statement is in regard to transportation, and it reads: the transportation system in Doney Park, Timberline, Fernwood integrates and connects multimodal facilities for transit, pedestrian, bicycle, and equestrian users throughout and beyond the planning area. Our future envisions transportation corridors that are safe and accessible for wildlife, motorists, and all non-motorist users. Enhanced opportunities for transit and commuter options are possible at key locations throughout the planning area.
Sounds like everyone's okay with that. Excellent.
Okay. So thanks, Bernice, for additional thoughts on the community character and culture section. We'll look forward to your updates on that. So now the next task at hand is to continue with the goal and policy review, Rob, and I can just go over this. So what we've completed so far are the check marks: community character, culture, and history. Remember, these are the goals and policies for these specific sections. You did those in January. Then last month in February, you looked at sustainability and resilience and water resources and wastewater treatment. Tonight, we are going to look at community services, public safety, and natural environment, open space, parks, trails, and recreation. And then next month, we have the design review guidelines. Thank you, John Ruggles, and for helping us get that ready. And we'll look at that next month in April. Land use, growth, and development, and transportation and circulation. We are almost finished with that, and we will look at that next month as well. So that's where we are, and I need to exit the screen here and go into the document. So hold on a second. Bernice, are you typing still?
No.
Oh, okay, I see it. Thanks. Okay, so let's look at community services. And thank you to Harriet for helping get this together. And you all have probably noticed I've been updating the formatting and doing editing and following up on some of the to-do items. So this may look different, Harriet, than what you looked at initially, but everything is there. And right now, is this large enough to see? Okay.
No, you're going to need to increase that.
Tell me when.
That's probably good there.
Okay. Okay, so community services. Community services are, when you think of those, think of your schools, community facilities, parks, which are primarily referenced in the other chapter we will look at tonight for natural environment, open space, parks, trails. animal shelters and management, solid waste disposal and the landfill, and then community services. And what we haven't really talked much about yet, but we maybe will get some feedback tonight from you all, are postal services, health services, and if places of worship need some interesting, need some addressing in here. So the first set of goals, and Harry, did you want to say anything about this before we jump in?
No, I haven't got any comments. I said everything then. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. So what I'm going to do, so some of these have been moved to this section. We've, kind of been rearranging some of the existing goals and policies, and I can read these, Rob, or let people read them themselves if all the committee can read these.
Well, I think we kind of need to read them because we have folks
Okay.
on the phone, so.
Okay, so the first goal, and remember, these are the goals and policies. The first goal is to support the continued enrollment of Cromer Elementary and better utilize the facility as a community asset. If you need to, I can turn on the track changes so you can see what is, and it's quite difficult to read because there's been quite a lot, but we have the track change version. Yeah.
Yeah, let's look at the final.
So that's the goal in terms of schools. And the policies, number one, utilize Cromer Elementary as a location for galvanizing community involvement. Number two, support working families by encouraging early childhood education centers to locate in DPTF. And then number three, the Flagstaff Unified School District is encouraged to compete effectively with charter and private schools to retain and grow existing enrollment.
I think this is wordsmithing, but we just need a 2 after encourage. Encourage, compete. Encourage to
Thank
compete.
you.
Sorry. You're welcome.
Thank you.
I'm not sure I understand the motivation there or how that fits in this plan. It seems like that's kind of, can you help me understand, Harriet?
Yeah, so this had to do, if you remember, Bob Kuhn with FUSD did give us a presentation, I believe in December. And there were quite a few questions from the committee about school enrollment.
Mhm.
And one of their challenges with FUSD and Cromer is there is some competition from charter and private schools, which does take away from enrollment in places like Cromer Elementary. So that's where this policy.
Only like 25 participants in this open.
So yeah.
As part of this plan, do we want to pick one or the other as a preference?
Or we don't want to see the public schools driven out by private or religious.
Well, if that's what the citizens of Doney Park want, why would we?
We have the school built. We've already got a school, and I guess you could give it away.
Well, I'm not suggesting that, but it appears that this statement would suggest that we as a community are favoring one form of education over another. And that to me is more of an individual choice, or one that should be left to the individuals and not written into a document that is used for planning and design like this.
I'm with Rob on that one.
Well, I don't know. It doesn't say that you're in a race to win. It just says compete effectively. That we're here too. It's a public school, and yes, we're here. And there's also other stuff, but we want to let you know that we have a good school here.
And we're also basically saying that FUSD is apparently not competing effectively now, or is somehow at a disadvantage to those. And I don't know that we want to make that statement either.
Yeah, it's just a strange statement all the way around.
Well, I think what we're trying to get, I think what the intent here is to make sure that public education continues, because we all support it with our tax dollars.
Yeah.
And it provides, I think, a balance. There is challenges to public schools from charter and private schools. Those are going to continue irregardless of what we say. So I'm seeing this more as a statement of we value the education that our children get, whether in public school or in other private or charter schools. That's what I'm hearing.
So charter school is public school, right? I mean, it's still
Not necessarily. There are public charter schools. In other words, there are kids that can go to a charter school if it's receiving state funds, but it can be a charter school that doesn't receive state funds or tax dollars. It can also be charter.
I guess bottom line for me is I anticipate, especially now after this COVID event, that we're going to see dramatic shifts in our educational systems over the next decade or so. And for us at this point to try to suggest one or another is better or worse is maybe beyond the scope of what this document should be doing.
Well, it says compete effectively. It doesn't say to overcome or anything else, but we don't have to agree to be overcome either. I think if we can compete on equal footing with the private schools and the other kinds of schools, there are those of us who are quite committed to public school systems, and I'm one of them. And I think a lot of people do cherish and want to see public schools continue. And if they're defunded, the words are compete effectively. It means you don't systematically try to undermine it. That's all I think it means.
That's the way I read it.
And just some history. This is an existing policy. It's currently in the community facilities section of the existing plan. And Monica isn't with us tonight, but in 2001, this was something that was important with the community. So that was added to the policies.
I would think that a statement that says we should encourage, the most efficient education for our children as it evolves through time is rather than picking one or another, but if I'm being outvoted here, that's fine.
Well, I don't see that that we're saying, we're out to beat the other guys and take over everything. Now, we're encouraged to not get, to remain competitive with.
Remain competitive.
So
Well,
just
maybe we say to remain competitive with charter and private schools would make everyone more comfortable rather than saying compete. I hate to think of education as competitive. I think children learn or they don't learn, but I don't like to see it as a race, as something you win or lose.
There's an edit with.
What if we reversed the statement here and said that
that's what I was gonna say.
charter and private schools should remain competitive with FUSD?
That's what I was going to say. Just as devil's advocate, if you put it the other way around, then it doesn't look as nice. It doesn't look as I just feel like that this isn't what we're doing here. To even talk about competing interest education.
Yeah, it is an interesting policy that's in the existing plan. And again, I'm sure there's some history as to why it was in there. For an area plan like this, having a school in your area plan, this Doney Park, Timberline, Fernwood may be the only area plan in the county with a school that is actually in the planning boundary.
And it's considered an asset, a public asset for people when, when people go buy houses, they want to know what's the school like.
Sure, absolutely.
That was one of the first questions. And if you've got a good public school, that's one thing. And if they don't like that public school, they can go find the charter and private schools they want. But
how about if we
you want to keep a
just
good
kind of
public school?
Yeah, we can maybe pause on this specific point and maybe ponder that in the background here for a little bit, Melissa, and then maybe come back to this either later this meeting or the next meeting after we've all had a chance to think about it a little bit. I think it is kind of a unique statement.
Can I offer a real quick suggestion?
Sure.
and that is that maybe it's something we encourage the school district to continue to offer high quality education that meets the needs of our children.
Yeah, I like
And
that.
it takes it out of the competition, because charter, I don't think we're in a war with charter or private schools. I don't see that at all. I think what we're trying to do is provide quality education for our children.
Yeah, and if that happens, then more people will support it, and then funding won't be an issue. But yeah, I think that makes sense to me. I don't know how Rob feels about it, but that feels a lot less competitive and political.
Yeah, I like that.
How does this read?
I like it, Brian. Thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you, Brian. Great suggestions.
Good
Thanks.
job. Thank you. So shall we move on?
Bridging the
please.
gap.
Okay, so the next goal in community services is community facilities. Community facilities are provided to encourage interaction and community building to meet the present and future needs of a broad cross-section of the Doney Park, Timberline, Fernwood area. That's the goal. And under the policies, public and semi-public uses should be approved at locations convenient to the population being served, provided that such locations are compatible with surrounding neighborhoods.
Now you're a pirate.
And then the second policy under community facilities is effective communication about public facilities that are available for community events such as fire station community rooms and Cromer Elementary facilities and Mountain View Park is provided throughout the community.
I have some words missing that I think needs to be done.
Okay.
When you say events, comma, such as, so in other words, the fire station community rooms are events?
Oh, no, you're right. This needs some work.
Yeah, I would say something like provided such locations, I'm sorry, you got the R in there. Effective communication should be provided throughout the community about public facilities that are available for community events, such as fire station community rooms and so on. Now that still works that way.
Read that one more time.
Effective communication should be provided throughout the community about public facilities.
Facilities, okay.
That are available. Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we just take the rest of it out.
No, I think the such as now then it refers
Okay.
back to
Thank you
the
for that.
facilities.
Yeah. Okay.
Where's Mountain View Park?
Peaks View Park.
Peaks View Park. Okay. I'm trying to think, where is
Thank
Mountain
you.
View Park?
Thanks, Jim. Yeah.
Yeah.
I read that mountain and thought peaks. I didn't even connect.
That's a nice name.
All right.
All right.
Solid
What
waste.
are the semi-public uses that we're talking about here?
So
The Girl Scouts could meet, the Fernwood Knitting Society, the gardeners of whatever, semi-local neighborhood groups can use we used to have discussions of things at the schools, and we certainly have used the public community rooms for all kinds of things in the past. I haven't been to any of them in years, but there are big rooms and big facilities, and we've had all kinds of meetings in our fire station. That's where Liz would
Our
have.
neighborhood watch programs, right?
Yeah.
and I think Bernice's question though is what are public and semi-public uses? Well, the fire station is a public facility. It's a public facility.
So what's a semi-public?
Semi-public, that's actually, we do have some in our, some semi-public uses are, I have to look.
What about the animal shelter that used to be Last Chance? What is that considered?
Well, that might be semi-public because it's,
Okay.
it's an animal shelter, but it's,
It's private property.
is it private now? Or I think it actually is funded by the county. It used to be
No, the
private.
county owns that building.
Okay, so
Yeah.
that would be a public at this point, but when it was run by a nonprofit, that would be a semi-public use.
Mhm.
Well, you could certainly say public and other facilities.
I like that.
Public and other instead of semi.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, what about the Doney Park Cannabis Club?
Wait a minute.
You know, I'm concerned about that. I
The
know
what club?
the Doney Park Cannabis Club.
Really?
Well, no, but it's coming. It's
Oh,
coming.
it's like, really?
There's going to be, I might start.
No, there was one, or
No, I'm concerned about that being near neighborhoods. And I'm also concerned that this might lead to rezoning for billboards, directions to how to get these things.
But this, Bernice, this one has no impact on billboards right here. These
Okay,
are community facilities.
Okay, what about effective communication about public facilities that are available for community events? You know, we're going to be having 420 celebrations and stuff like that.
I'm sorry, we didn't hear that.
420 celebrations are going to be coming like they are in other areas that have legalized.
But is that an event? That's more of an event. I mean, and this is specifically about your community facilities, your school, High Country Humane, your fire, fire stations. It's not about, other types it's not about commercial or anything like that. This is just, these are facilities that serve your community. If there were to ever be a clinic, for instance, a medical clinic. So, yeah, this is not anything to do with commercial.
I could just see them wanting to use a park, but I don't think they'll be, they can be zoned so that they can't do it on public land.
Well, I mean, if they're using any county facilities, they'll need to get a permit for an event, right?
But it's still federally illegal and the county gets federal funding. So that could be an argument right there. The city is there ordinance in the city right now that they're considering. They've already had a first reading of it. They're going to be limiting the recreational retail sales to the existing 2 medical dispensaries to limit the number of dispensaries. And we only have 1 dispensary in Doney Park that could be, the same thing could be done also. But we don't know yet because it hasn't been, an ordinance hasn't been created yet.
Right.
Bernice, that's kind of outside the scope of what it is we're talking about right here. We're getting probably down a rabbit hole here.
I agree with Rob.
Yeah, I agree. That's something that the county supervisors and the legal groups are going to have to figure out. Certainly not the planning commission.
And if our supervisors are still on board here, they are working on that now. It's been on their agenda already.
Yeah.
The planning. Yeah. So we can move on.
Okay. Okay. All right. So that's community facilities. The next section is the solid waste and litter goal. And it reads, the solid waste and litter is reduced through implementation of aggressive formal programs and volunteer efforts.
You're going to take out the A, yeah.
I just got it. Thank you. Yeah.
That it worked out.
And then the policies. There are several policies under this goal. And I'll just go and read these. Number 6, all residents of the planning area are encouraged to maximize their recycling efforts and reduce their waste stream. Number 7, the county is encouraged to consider establishing a county collection service for trash collection and recycling services, curbside pickup, and provision of additional containers at strategic locations.
This is Liz. Stop right there. Bernice, not Bernice. Harriet. Containers at strategic locations. You mean like have recycling bins? I didn't get this 7 because it's saying we're encouraged to consider establishing county collection services. I take my trash and my collections to the dump, but don't we already have that collection system? We're just encouraging it to continue. Is that what we're doing?
So this is an existing policy, just FYI. Okay.
Because it says consider establishing. We already have a service for trash collection, right? And recycling services. Curbside pickup.
Is this an outdated policy then?
See, because
do we? I don't. We don't have a county collection service.
Oh, it's a city. Is it a city?
No, it's private.
Yeah, we paid for private.
It's private.
Okay, so we're considering to get a county one. Is that what we're encouraging?
Well, it certainly would save money if we had a county service that did parts of it.
Okay,
Oh, no, it wouldn't.
It's a very,
It would not, because you're going to be paying more in taxes
Yeah.
to run this service.
save that service. When you can just go
So
to the,
where are you going to save money? The county can't take the responsibility of trash collection. That's why they have all the private ones. It would raise our taxes so high, we want to,
it
yeah,
could cost
it's
about what
outrageous.
we pay now, maybe. I don't know.
No.
I don't,
I'd
So-
like to,
it's not
I'd
my
like to add,
policy.
Go ahead,
I'd
John.
like
Okay,
to
so
add to
do-
what Jim Clifford had to say about that. Because all you have to do is look at what the costs are for other jurisdictions, other municipalities in the state where the city runs the trash collection. Jim is absolutely right about that. It would take a considerable increase in taxes to pay for it. And then if you were billed for it, you wouldn't like that either. So
So this may be an outdated policy. is
right,
what-
see, that's what I didn't understand. Okay,
Yeah,
I didn't-
would
We did
suggest-
need some input on this, so that's why it's in here.
okay, okay.
I would
So-
suggest that not having a centralized county collection service is actually better for our rural lifestyle, where we get to
Right.
choose individually whether we want to take our trash in or whether we want a dumpster for our horse
Yep.
manure or
Yep.
whatever the circumstances may be.
Yep,
So I would be
And-
opposed to the first part of this particular
Yep.
statement.
And the
I don't want to
likelihood of this
encourage.
happening is probably not going to happen.
couldn't agree with you more, Rob.
I think maybe it'd be good to take out that whole CS7.
Okay.
yep,
It's done.
Well,
you.
recycling, on the other hand, though, having resources available for recycling, you know,
Well, I know.
well, at the dump, it's all free at the dump, even
Oh, I know.
before you go
I use
in.
I use
I
it
use it
regularly.
too, right,
I
right.
would like to see more folks recycle more, and usually the only way to do that is to make it more convenient.
Like have it at convenience stores or the activity centers?
Well, yeah. So for instance, someone that lives out Townsend, Winona somewhere and that never drives past the dump anyway, might be more inclined if there were a transfer center there for recycle, say at Osnino and Townsend, Winona, to recycle.
No, that would be wonderful, but that wouldn't be county, because isn't that again, it's going to cost us? Or would it be
No, it's a good
city that
point.
provides that there? I don't know, maybe we should just leave it out. I mean, recycling services are great, but
Yeah.
everyone's talking about cost.
Hey,
Doesn't it cost us to go? Doesn't it cost us
pay
to-
for it?
Doesn't it cost us to take our trash to the dump right now?
Not recycle, it doesn't.
No, it's free.
But you had trash in here also.
I just took that
Recycling
out.
is free.
Yeah, because we were
So
talking.
could it say county residents are encouraged to consider private recycle and trash service collection?
We have that though.
Yeah, it's already,
Okay,
It's
I mean,
already
number
here.
one above is all residents of the planning area are encouraged to maximize their recycling
Yep.
efforts and reduce their waste stream. We could
Mm-hmm.
just get rid of 7 and
lose
I
stuff.
said get rid of 7.
All in favor?
I have
Yeah.
a choice.
All
I have
right,
a choice.
7's gone.
is this
7's
good?
gone. Yeah.
yep,
I have a choice. I can drive my recycling out. It's free out there. Or I can, as we do, we pay for pickup on it.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
That's
Thank
what-
you. We're moving on then to what is new number 7, although it's still here in the edits if anybody wants to see them.
Oh, no.
The version that hurts our eyes. So number 7 then would be encourage the city of Flagstaff and Coconino County to consider methods to prevent windborne trash and debris along routes leading to the sanitary landfill, such as requiring trash collection companies to develop and enforce policies that minimize windborne trash during collection. Is this still an issue?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And it's not just during trash collection, but collecting it and then delivering it to the landfill are the two things that are the problem.
And
The
isn't it-
challenge is when
Looking at 7 and 8 together, because 8 is also about the county should consider adopting an ordinance that requires containment or covering of trash for individuals hauling their own
Yes,
trash to the landfill.
That's good. Yes.
That is already in place.
The ordinance is in place?
Yes, it is. You're supposed to have any trash that goes out to the landfill covered.
Oh, good.
Or
I don't see that.
or
We
it
need
has to
healthy
it has to
pictures.
be loaded in a way that it will not fly out of your trailer or pickup truck. That is already an ordinance.
Okay, I did not know that it was in place already.
Yeah, but perhaps we should consider enforcing the ordinance.
There you go.
Ah,
Okay, well, that's another matter that we have talked about, enforcement issues. So are 7 and 8 redundant?
Now, one of them is really talking about commercial and the other one's talking about individuals.
I agree with Rob.
Because if there's already an ordinance that requires covering.
Yeah, if we can verify 8, then that should go away.
Well, but is one of the objectives here to inform folks that live in Doney Park and may or may not read the long-term plan? And if so, then I would say keep it in.
Or maybe just
And
start
it may
moving
need to
with
be
enforce
updated.
the existing. We'll find out once we know more.
Okay,
about
I'll
the
verify
ordinance.
8. And then is 7 still valid? Because that does,
Yes.
do they seem redundant though? That's my question.
No.
I get your point, but I also see Rob's. One of them is personal, and one of them is, you're using a private company, and the other one is that you're using.
commercial versus private.
Well,
private-
but I
and the
think it's
private-
really about enforcement.
It is. And the private companies are coming from the city, they're coming from the county, they're coming from the reservation. So it's coming from all over.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe what we need to do is verify if the ordinance is in place. And if it is, focus us more on encourage enforcement.
For 8 or for both?
Well, if 8 is for both, if they're, and the ordinance may
8
apply
says-
to both individual and commercial.
Yeah, 8 says for individuals. So I don't know
Mm-hmm.
that will stand the test of the existing ordinance, but 7 exists regardless. And it's because of the variety of containers, and it isn't just the collection of, because collection is the first problem. That's when they pick up your can and they flip it over on top of that truck and the wind is blowing 40 miles an hour, like it always does here. That's the beginning of the problem. And the other end of the problem is out at the dump, but it's also in between. So I would say 7 still has merit.
Okay. We'll verify number 8 if that's in place.
Well, I would be happy to include a statement in there somewhere that, and maybe it goes up with number 6, that the residents are encouraged to make sure that their trash is properly contained and it doesn't end up on the roadway.
Because that often happens before the truck gets there to pick it up.
That's right.
Thanks to Arlene.
You can just add that in and then come back and wordsmith it later.
Yep.
Okay.
Which takes us to item number 9.
And 9 is the county should consider additional free dump days or fee reduced days at the landfill to encourage residents to clean up their property. I understand that they are still doing these
are.
days.
Yep.
So that's still relevant.
It's coming up this spring. Yep.
Yep, it's only once a year.
Maybe, so it's once a year. Is this phrase should consider additional or possibly just should say should continue?
I would love additional days.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe my neighbors will clean up their yard.
Okay.
Who knows?
I know if our supervisors are still here, can we make those certificates so that they do not expire? They're good for 1 year.
Ah,
Because we get 2 certificates, and we get one for trash and we get one for pine needles.
Yeah, landscape.
I have actually taken my pine needle one down to the county building on Cherry and exchanged it for another solid waste permit. So if we could get those so that they were good for a 6-month period or even a year,
why not? Yeah, just
that would be better.
I agree completely. Once a year, you get a
point, Jim.
free drop off.
So that's a technical, a pretty specific recommendation, but if we just, wordsmith this a little bit to say the county should continue the existing and consider additional free dump days.
Well, then you wouldn't need additional ones because you'd take it anytime you wanted it.
Do you remember when there was vouchers instead of days?
Well, there are still.
There's vouchers now, but they expire. They're only good for like a 2-week period.
Correct.
Yeah.
And if those could be extended to a 6-month period,
Yeah.
that would take us through spring and summer into fall, and then winter. Anything that we're going to be picking up in the spring when we get our next ones, they're good for another 6 months throughout the spring, summer, and fall.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
I would think the landfill would like it too, because it would reduce that high intensity time of people using it. Spread
So
it out.
if I could chime in a little bit, I kind of like the idea of both. I think the voucher idea, for an extended period is a good idea, because that'll allow people the flexibility to take their trash when they need to. But at the same time, I kind of like the idea of having a free dump day, maybe once or twice a year, just because it kind of encourages the whole community to kind of get your stuff out. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So that was just my 2 cents.
So then at 9 works as is.
Okay.
And we can work hopefully with our county supervisors to suggest that those vouchers be modified to support that great recommendation from Jim.
Okay.
Now, I would support something like that. Thank you.
Thank you. So number 10 then, are we ready to move on?
Yes.
Number 10, new commercial and industrial businesses should provide mitigation for trash control during rezoning or conditional use permit processes. That's an existing policy. It sounds very awkward to me. I think what they're getting to is that during a CUP or a rezoning process, this is looking at requiring a commercial or industrial business to pay attention to their trash collection.
They should already be paying attention to it, and
Right.
they shouldn't be doing anything the CUP would authorize if it were approved before it is approved. So this doesn't make any sense to me at all.
Yeah, this is an awkward policy.
I agree. I don't understand it. Yeah.
Should we, because that would be something that during the conditional use or, the rezoning process, trash containment is part of our zoning ordinance already. So they have to show how they're going to be handling their trash.
Yeah, but I kind of like the idea for people reading this that, not just the people that are applying for a use permit, but, so that it's just like we say, this is how we operate. It also says this is how they should be doing it. And I don't see anything harm in having it in there.
New commercial industrial business should provide mitigation for trash control.
The sentence itself
Oh,
does not make
it's
much
not
sense.
good.
Yeah.
And the other thing is that it is part of the ordinance already, and it's not just with a use permit, it's a performance standard in the code.
Right.
So this is just duplicating something that already exists in code and
That is correct.
really has no standalone merit here.
Okay, take it out.
All in favor of deleting 10 as it stands?
Aye.
Okay.
And moving on to the new 10.
New 10, neighborhood and community group volunteer cleanup days are encouraged to maintain litter-free roadways and neighborhoods. That's what you all are going to do when this planning process is done, right?
We already do it. All
I
of
know.
us do. Yeah.
Yeah, there are a lot of
Okay.
us that do.
Yeah.
My question here is, what's the incentive to get community, folks together, neighborhood groups and so forth together to do it? What's
Beautifying
the
the
incentive
neighborhood.
within the statement?
How about giving them a free trip to the dump?
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And it should be
Hopefully they'll
true.
get that. I think this is just, the incentive for this policy is to write it in the plan so people reading it think that maybe this is something that they can do to pitch in and help their community.
Oh, well, we could put the simple word in, encourage to maintain a beautiful litter-free roadway and neighborhood. You could put beautiful, I don't know. I mean, it encourages me, but I'm already there. But you could put beautiful or country style litter-free. I don't know. But I mean, people
The
who
wordsmith police are coming.
people that pick up litter just do it. I mean, I don't think they need encouragement. And I don't think you're going to encourage anybody who doesn't want to pick up litter to do it. I just don't think it's going to happen. But I mean, maybe the word beautiful, I don't know. I think it's good as it is.
If we just added and should be provided a free permit to drop off the stuff at the solid waste
Oh, for the trash they pick up.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Oh,
Well, I would, so the cleanup isn't that a part of the cleanup day is it's access to the landfill when they're organized?
I have no idea.
well,
Yes.
if you get a sign or you're part of that thing where you're part of a group that goes out every month, they give you free bags. You leave the bag on the side and they get it.
Oh yeah,
They
they give
get
you orange
that.
coveralls too. And
Yes.
no, I'm kidding. That's a
Yeah,
different group.
I'm
adopt
kidding.
the
Right.
highway. Adopt
Yeah,
the
that's adopt the
highway. Then the state comes along and they will pick
Picks
up
it
the
up.
debris and take it out to the landfill. They
Correct.
supply the bags, the vests for safety, and and sometimes highway patrol just kind of loops around through several times to make sure that everybody is safe.
Yeah, I don't think you
So,
need to get into details about
No.
yeah,
access
No,
to
we
the
I
don't
think
need
so.
landfill.
details on that one.
No.
No.
All right,
Okay,
let's talk
any
about
other
animals.
thoughts? Yeah, animal management is the next goal. And this has been changed quite a bit from the existing. So the Doney Park Timberline Fernwood community continues to support our rural character by keeping livestock and other animals in a safe, responsible manner. This means that animals are controlled and do not infringe on the peace and tranquility of neighbors and are kept in a manner that is safe for animals and safe for area residents. So that's the goal.
Works.
Okay, and then just do that. And then animal policies, there are 5 of them. First one is the public should be made aware of the leash law and other animal management regulations and ordinances through the news media, county newsletter, county website, fire department newsletters, and other means available. Is that still needed?
Yes.
I think it's needed, and I would add one thing in there.
Yes.
The thing I would add to it is asking the supervisors to put it in their occasional,
It says county newsletter, county newsletters, plural.
Yeah, it's in there.
well, okay. Okay.
All right. Next.
Okay, the next one, the county should provide adequate equipment and staffing to carry out the responsibilities of animal management. This has to do, so animal control is part of Health and Human Services, and I will work with them to make sure that, everything is still appropriate for their current staffing levels, but this is a pretty, I'm sure they would appreciate this statement. Okay,
What you're
anything on
talking
that?
about there are loose dogs or, animals that are not contained, correct?
Right, well, I think it's, just general animal management is what it's talking about, right?
Right.
All right.
Okay.
And the
I'm
next
watching the
policy,
Doney Park community
could you all
meeting.
just ask anyone who's not on mute if you wouldn't mind muting? That would be helpful. Thank you. Number, what is,
Drive our ATVs.
Hey, Doug, there we go. Thank you, Doug.
and on the next one is a pretty benign statement. Owners should be responsible for their own animals and animals must be kept under control.
We skipped one.
Not should be, they are responsible for their own animals.
Yes.
If his dog bites me, I'm going to sue them.
Okay, sorry, I guess I did skip one. The county should consider ways to address the impacts related to keeping a large number of dogs, cats, and other animals that are not regulated. So remember, these are policies that Health and Human Services will look at in terms of, the actual use of this plan.
Melissa?
These policies are not going to really impact.
Melissa,
Yes.
I'd like to address what is number 13. That is already addressed in the code under the update to animal keeping, which essentially covers what that is talking about.
Well,
John,
that's
does it-
an excellent point. There's a whole section on animal management in the zoning ordinance, and it talks specifically about numbers of animals.
And that
Does it-
has changed quite a bit with the
Since-
update, because now it's a matter of seeking what essentially could be an administrative permit. Say if you want more dogs, cats, horses, whatever, based on your property and what the impacts are, you still have to come in and demonstrate that if you're exceeding what the ordinance allows, that the impacts are either minimal or non-existent on the surrounding properties.
Thank you, John. That's a great point. And so the zoning ordinance, if people haven't looked at it, actually has a pretty thoroughly organized and developed code that addresses everything from livestock down to dogs, cats, and exotic animals. So
If
this
that's the
isn't,
case, then this doesn't need to be there.
yeah,
Anybody
this is
disagree
an
with that?
outdated
Right.
policy.
So
Okay.
Okay.
that's covered.
I'd like to mention that I think it might be nice to add the word humane either in animal management goal, where we say in a safe, responsible, we could add an humane manner. One of the things that I have noticed that I've seen a lot of dogs that are on short chains. People have acreages, but they'll keep a dog on a short chain right next to the front of their house or side of their house. And I think it would be good for the animals to add the humane manner.
I think that's good, Bernice.
That
Yeah.
would inspire. I know some places have laws that you can't have an animal on a short chain like that, especially in the winter conditions up here.
I
Yeah.
agree with
I agree.
Denise on that. It's very good to add that, I think.
What's that?
The word
Yeah.
humane,
Yep, up here in the goal.
yes, where it says in a safe, responsible, and add humane
Yep.
manner.
Manner. Yep.
Yep,
That's
it's
good.
there.
Yep.
Okay. Okay, so we're back on 13. Owners should be responsible for their own animals, and animals must be kept under control. This again seems to be awkward.
What about
It is.
owners are responsible? And I think Dave said that originally.
Yeah, I was thinking Dave said that are. Yeah. Yep.
Are responsible to keep their animals under control. Would that make it?
It's good just the way it is.
Okay,
we're
all
good.
right. All right. And then the next one is a vital community service for the care and protection of animals, encourage active community commitment, engagement with and support of High Country Humane Animal Shelter.
Sounds good.
Say vital service for the care and protection.
But are we just saying, oh, is that because High Country is out here? Because then there's another one on Butler that's very good too. But we're saying that one support of the High Country because it's in our county. Yes.
It's in your area plan.
Planning.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay.
Well, yeah, you might want to consider some of the groups out there that deal
Yeah, there are rescue
specifically with
groups and other
various
things.
breeds of animals, cats and dogs, and actually provide animal rescue in a lot of cases. It's not
What are their
just-
names?
It's not just High Country Humane.
Good point. Yeah. So is anyone know their
other
names?
rescue groups?
And other
Yeah.
rescue groups.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just leave it like that.
That would
Okay.
cover it.
All
Very
right.
nice.
Okay. Good deal.
Great. You guys know your community. That's why you're helping us with this. That's great.
Hungry now?
Okay, community services goal.
Go visit with them.
Is she gonna like cut the
the goal for community services, a wide range of community services supports the entire Doney Park, Timberline, Fernwood community. The policies on the first one encourage health service providers such as a pharmacy or urgent care facility to locate within the planning area.
I don't really feel comfortable with that because of the population density and also the sirens. You know, that would be in conflict of our quiet area. That would also make it like a city. We've got plenty in the city right now. And that, you know, people move out here to get away from the city. And, you know, I've lived out here 44 years and I've never had a problem driving into the city to go to the dentist or the doctor or take my kids to sports or
Well,
anything like that.
I've got a comment on that. I think if you're talking about pharmacy or urgent care, we're not talking about an ambulance service. The fire district, basically, the major part of their mission now is emergency services. It's like the same thing in the big city with an ambulance service. You're going to have that anyway. So I don't think you would necessarily have to take that out of there, but a pharmacy or urgent care, when was the last time you had to use urgent care?
Well, probably a year ago. I just fell off my haystack a couple of weeks ago.
Okay.
But I wouldn't use one here. I can go into town. I don't want the city coming to the country.
Well,
and the pharmacies, a lot of them, practically all of them, sell alcohol. And we don't want a liquor store on our corner.
I agree with that. You're right, because pharmacies aren't pharmacies anymore. They're little convenience stores. They're convenience stores.
And
Would you want a medical clinic?
No.
probably not. You know, we've got plenty of great ones in town.
you could just say such as an urgent care facility and leave it at that.
I don't even want to include it.
I don't know why not. Falling off a haystack. If I'm working out here in the machine shop and I cut off half my hand, I would like to drive a little less than 14 miles or 7 or 10 miles to get it taken care of.
But I think it's going to invite a lot of people that aren't from this area.
And it's not country style. It's not country style to me. Not
Well, actually, if we're
Off
looking
your
at
hand, though,
this
you're gonna have to go to the ER.
right.
if you're looking at this as something of a land use and planning document, I think that maybe not say encourage, but say health service providers such as an urgent care facility.
If needed, or I don't know.
Would be a worthwhile addition to the community.
I don't know.
I would caution here that just because some of us may or may not support a specific kind or type of business doesn't mean that this plan should or should not support that type of business also. We have zoning codes and other ordinances and regulations that control what can and cannot be built.
You know, what did the survey say? This is Liz. What did the survey say? Did anybody, when we had that question on our survey, do you remember, Melissa, what they
Yeah,
said? What did they wanted a coffee
Liz,
shop and something else.
Yeah, Liz, they said that they would like a coffee shop / urgent care / dispensary.
Oh, they did.
Yeah.
How many
Okay.
of those-
No, I'm kidding.
Those people
Huh.
compared to how many people wanted to keep Doney Park small and not
And rural and community character. Oh, they did. They say that, Sailor, huh?
rural
And if one of these organizations chose to do something in one of our activity centers, it would not impact our rural character because our activity centers are already zoned and designed for, you know, those types of activities.
And I'm going to go along with Rob Wilson on that because the previous thing he mentioned is that for these businesses to locate, for any business like this to locate, you're going to have to go through the conditional use permit or rezoning process. And that we already have encouraged to be in the activity centers. So I would say that would be very little change to what the community is right now.
If it's
And the other thing is you can't stop growth. It's going to happen to one extent or the other as time goes on. I'm with Bernice on keeping it like it is, but I have to also be realistic about it. And people are going to look at their property and say, boy, I could sure sell this for 10 times what I bought it for 25 years ago. And bingo, there you go. You've got more development.
If we reworded it then to say health service providers, such as an urgent care facility, should locate within a rural activity center.
There you go.
And leave it at
Yeah.
that. So it's directing
like
it
that.
more to
Yep.
your commercial areas specifically.
That's,
And is that,
That's better. Yep,
that's better, but I still don't,
I know.
I
Yeah.
know a lot
Well-
of places like the mall, when they developed the mall, they were projecting the growth of Flagstaff 5 years down the road that would bring them enough revenue to keep the mall, to expand and make money. I don't want a pharmacy coming here and having in a rural activity center and having a liquor store, because I know. it was
But
like
Bernice,
that.
that's not what this is saying. That's not what this is saying. It's saying an urgent care facility. So if I have a heart attack and there's a respirator or,
Well, Brian, God forbid you go to an urgent care if you had a heart attack. Because have you ever been to urgent care?
hey,
You wouldn't go to
Liz, I'm
urgent
gonna
care.
take the first medical care I can get. And if I can get it 5 minutes.
I wouldn't
before I
waste time
die,
going to an urgent care.
okay, you
Uh-uh.
guys, let's move on because
Okay, let's
do
move
have
on.
more
That is a
sections.
joke. Okay,
So,
sorry.
yeah, and I remember, and John did raise the point that, the health service providers, depending on where they are, if they're in an activity center with existing commercial zoning, then it may be a permitted use. I don't believe, I think a pharmacy actually could be a permitted use in a commercial
there.
zone.
Yep.
Okay, just so you know, but this is an important policy to direct healthcare providers because they can currently come into your commercial zones if they're permitted use without a rezoning and without a use permit. They would need design review with the commission. But just keep in mind that, there are existing zones. You haven't had one come in. They may not see it as a viable place to locate.
Now, wouldn't you rather have that as opposed to, let's say, a liquor store, a bar, or an adult bookstore?
Yes.
Those are all permitted
Yes.
uses also.
And they
Right,
are-
God forbid.
Okay, so
Okay.
just keep in
Think of it
mind there
that
is existing vacant
perspective.
commercial zoning.
I
And
guess
those,
the
Okay.
those
the
properties
adult
have
bookstore would have
entitlements.
to be an industrial, but nevertheless, there are a lot of very unpleasant businesses that you could have as opposed to, say, an urgent care facility.
So this is a new policy and,
Okay.
it speaks to this goal of a wide range of community services supports the community.
All right.
This is about supporting your community and what types of businesses, or rather what types of services for that community support are needed. And so this is new to the plan. This is a new type of a new policy.
I think we're good here, Melissa.
Okay,
And we
all
can
right.
move on to
I do too.
16.
All right. So 16 is, I will go ahead and read this. Establish a volunteer corps to fulfill gaps in government service by providing volunteer efforts such as trash pickup, invasive weed mitigation, leading walking tours of cultural, natural, and other community resources, and establishing youth activities and education about the local and natural environment. There's a lot in this policy, but what it's getting to is using some of your volunteer groups to provide, government services that you don't currently have, filling that need. It's really to encourage stronger volunteer efforts.
I think everybody could agree with that.
Yeah.
All right.
Are
Look how
we
easy
good
that
on
one
this?
was. Yes.
Thank you guys. This was really good. I mean, I think that you covered a lot in this. So let me close this one. And do we need a quick break?
I'm betting people have broke without us knowing it.
Okay.
Well, hey, I got my second shot today and I'm going to bow out because I'm drifting off. So thank you
Well,
all
soon.
and I'll see you next month.
Alrighty. Thank you, Brian.
Brian.
Thank you, Brian.
Bye,
You're
Thanks,
welcome.
Brian.
Good night.
Drink
Do
water.
do you have
have been.
pizza for us there anywhere, Melissa?
Okay, oh, let's do that. Thank you. Yes, I have pizza. I do have pizza tonight.
Okay.
Okay, let's take a pizza break.
Move
Hold
on.
on. I had to,
This is
whoops.
valuable
There he is.
time here.
There's your pizza.
There he is. There he
Okay.
is.
Is that not the cutest dog right
That
there?
is the cutest,
That's
yes.
a happy pup. So we will at some point have pizza in person. I promise.
We will. We will.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Meanwhile, back to work.
Did we get enough of the pizza dog?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
All right. Back to, let's do public safety. All right. Is that large enough?
Yes,
Okay.
I think it probably is.
So for this outline, it's public safety is for people that worked on this section, I've reorganized it a bit to nest the policies under the goals. So the first public safety goal, pretty simple, and it's an existing goal. Neighborhoods are safe and crime-free. Policies are 4 policies under this goal. The sheriff's office is encouraged to continue to maintain a high degree of visibility in the community through community meetings, electronic message boards, and other means to communicate with residents and visitors about safety issues.
That works.
Works for me.
Okay.
Good.
Okay. The second one, the Board of Supervisors should be committed to the sheriff's staffing needs and responding to the rapid growth in rural areas.
I think it should be committed to support the sheriff's staffing needs.
Thank you.
Like it.
Okay.
Moving on.
Third, organized activities and programs, including special events and ongoing training, school, and other programs, is encouraged to educate, inform, and promote safe and healthy lifestyle options for residents.
Should be are instead of is encouraged.
All righty.
Okay, and then the fourth one under neighborhoods are safe and crime-free. The Board of Supervisors is encouraged to consider an ordinance to prohibit the firing of weapons near homes, in particular urban forest areas that are used by adjacent neighborhoods for recreation, such as hiking, biking, and horseback riding. Now,
Melissa.
yes,
Yeah.
go ahead.
I was gonna say, Melissa, I thought we had an ordinance and I thought it was 1/4 mile, a game and fish law, but I thought you could target practice, but it still has to be 1/4 mile from homes. High powered rifles can go many more miles than 1/4 of a mile. I don't know. I know that now in 11M, which is in our zoning district, you have bow hunting only because people were shooting and hunting too close to homes out here. So let's talk to the planning and zoning. I don't know. I thought there was an ordinance for 1/4 mile to
There
shoot a
is.
gun.
There
Okay.
is an Arizona state law that exists that
Yeah.
is exactly that.
So do we not say to
Like
consider
Rob
an
says.
ordinance? So do we not say consider an ordinance because it's already here? Do we just swipe it out or do we just say encourage the ordinance or what do we say?
It would be duplicitous if we had another ordinance. It already exists, and
Okay, so wipe it out. Take it out.
that would be my vote.
Okay.
Anyone object to that?
Nope, I'll go along with that. That makes sense.
This
Yep, sounds
does,
good.
okay. Okay, the next goal, fire and emergency response is provided in an expedient and efficient manner. And there are several policies under this. The first, encourage all residents and property owners in the planning area to stay informed and register with the Coconino County Emergency Notification System. That's pretty much, I would hope that everyone is registered with that notification system.
Okay.
Okay, number 5 is educational materials should be provided to existing and new residents about public safety resources for topics such as fire, wildfire prevention, and then there's a list of programs and public safety reminders. The Community Development Department should work with the Sheriff's Office, Summit Fire District, Animal Control, Public Health, and Public Works to distribute information through realtors or the building permit process. So this was a merging of a couple of existing policies that then were updated with the subcommittee. And we've also had the fire district look at this, and the fire district actually provided this alternative language about FireWise, Ready, Set, Go, and fire adapted communities as some of those program suggestions.
Yes. And I want to say, is there a way in this one, but I guess it's just says because it should be provided, but also encouraged, because I have done the FireWise program. It's a free program from the city. They come out, they assess your home and your property and your neighbor's property and say, you better do some FireWising, cleaning up, thin your trees, whatever.
So
and it's all free. So should we say like
that down here is actually number 9 specifically.
Okay.
Residents are encouraged to seek a FireWise assessment from the fire district and no cost.
Yeah, because it is a great program. It is unbelievable and it's free. It's just
so that seemed to warrant a separate policy. And this one 5 is about educational materials about those programs and how to get those out. So the
objective there was to make sure that new arrivals in this area are aware of the unique characteristics and risks to this area.
But you know what, Melissa and Rob, the thing is with this educational materials, I wonder, I don't know if they do it, but I had to go into the city to go to the county courthouse. I mean, go to the downtown courthouse. I guess that's what it's called, the city hall, and get material. And the woman will come out to your house. But I mean, to get the material, I don't know. I guess this is beyond the scope, but to have it so it could maybe be at like the gas stations of some kind of posting how important this is.
Well, and what we were, the suggestion with this policy was to distribute information through realtors or, possibly during the building permit process, to give out some information, which.
I think it should say
just aimed towards new residents.
It's I went ahead and said existing and new because it's ongoing.
A lot of people don't know about it.
It could go through neighborhood watch meetings too.
Yeah. So without getting into too deep, I think the intent here is just to really make it known that education is important and to get these materials out into the community through various ways is is pretty critical.
Okay.
Are you all good with how this reads? And again, if you have wordsmithing suggestions, please email those to me and we can certainly do the wordsmithing on the back end.
Okay, thank you.
What was that, Rob?
Number 6.
Okay, number 6, adequate fire protection measures as specified by the Arizona State Fire Code through the Arizona Fire Marshal should be required in conditions of approval for new developments requiring planning and zoning. This is I think this policy is actually outdated because we do that anyway.
That I'll agree with you, Melissa. Typically, anything that constitutes conditional use permit, subdivision, we require that the developer or the builder or the property owner work with Summit Fire, in our case, to develop a FireWise plan, and that is what is required to go forward with the permitting.
Right, and then the fire district is reviewing the development proposals along with community development.
Does anyone object to removing this one? All right.
Nope.
Okay, so what is now number 6? When requested by the fire department, deeded easements for emergency access to forest lands should be required on new subdivision plats which border U.S. Forest Service. Residents are encouraged to provide the fire departments with easements or emergency access to forest lands at agreed upon locations.
Any objections? Moving on.
Isn't that already in our subdivision rules whenever we do a subdivision that we have the easements for that in place?
Actually, that is not in the
not that specific.
Subdivision.
Oh, no, that's trails. That's trails.
Yeah, that's trails. And what is in there is the requirement for a minimum, depending on the number of lots, how many emergency access routes there are. Typically,
Correct.
Melissa, you would have to fill me in. I can't remember how many constitutes the threshold before 2 accesses are required. I think it's over 10.
I'd have to go back and look at that.
Yeah, so would I.
That's all right. It's outside of the
Hey,
scope
John,
of
this is
question.
Jess.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys, this is Jess McNeely. I'm pretty sure that's 30.
Is it 30? Thank you, Jess.
It's 30. And the subdivision process has to go through a technical advisory committee, and the fire districts are always on the technical advisory committee.
Mm-hmm. So this is specific to access to Forest Service. I don't think the subdivision ordinance speaks to that. Does
No,
it,
it
Jess?
doesn't.
Yeah. So
No,
this
it
is
doesn't.
different. Yeah.
So this makes sense that not only do we not want Forest Service blocked off for public access, we also don't want Forest Service blocked off if emergency services, fire services need to get into the forest at locations.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Thank you, Jess.
Okay, so everybody's
All right.
good with that one?
Needs
So
a period at the end.
sorry, Dave.
Never mind, needs a period at the end.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it. So number 7, the fire departments are encouraged to continue to promote public education and awareness of fire prevention measures through distribution of information and other programs. Information should include the wildland urban interface issues, fire-wise neighborhood support, defensible space issues, fire restrictive construction techniques, and improved water supply and access. So this is specific to fire departments. It is a bit redundant to 5 above. 5 is about educational materials that could go out to the new residents and existing residents about public safety resources. And then number 7 is specific about fire departments promoting their educational programs.
One little nit to pick, I think
Uh-huh.
fire department, it's actually fire district.
Fire district, thank you.
There is a legal
You're right.
difference.
And
You
there's
could
really
say
one fire district. There's
There's only one, but
yeah. The fire district
the
is.
fire district is.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Are
All
we
right.
good with this?
Moving on to number 8.
Number 8 is, we've read this previously, residents are encouraged to seek a fire-wise assessment from the fire district at no cost.
Good.
And is fire district capitalized? I think we need to be consistent there.
For wordsmithing.
I know, sorry.
Can we stick there on 7 for a second?
On 7, sure.
Firewise neighborhood support, defensive space issues, fire resistive construction techniques, and improve water supply and access. What are you looking for in improved water supply and access?
This was actually suggested by Summit Fire District.
Yeah, Jim,
Okay.
the representative that we had participating in this review talked about how they frequently don't rely on hydrants because water pressures are not adequate and they're always dispatch tenders. And so they wanted to see this in here in order to be able to hopefully improve their access to water.
Yeah, we just
Okay.
need to specify that it's water for firefighting, firefighting.
And then number,
that to me would have just meant that the fire district is responsible for improving the water supply for hydrants.
Oops.
If I was a
Well-
common person looking at that, that's why I wanted clarification as to what that was
Yeah.
for.
Hmm.
well, it's information. This is about their public education and awareness.
Because
It's not saying that they would provide that supply.
the objective was here to help educate citizens who are members of the Doney Park Water Cooperative to encourage that organization to be able to provide adequate resources of water for firefighting needs.
Okay, that answers my question.
Okay, number 8 was again about the Firewise assessment. And then number 9, new subdivisions should provide hydrants to facilitate firefighting efforts. I don't know that that's in the subdivision ordinance.
If it's not, this is a good thing to probably have.
But
I think-
that goes back to the other one. If the system does not have enough pressure, because of the infrastructure of the Doney Park water system to support a fire hydrant, why are we going to force the subdivision to put in fire hydrants that are not going to put out enough water to put out a fire?
And
Well,
by
and
the way,
it is a should.
by the way, I do not believe that is required in the subdivision
I don't think
ordinance.
so either.
And we have looked at enough subdivisions lately that do not have,
Right.
nor have we added a requirement for fire hydrants. So I hope that'll answer Jim's question there.
Isn't one of the
It does.
Thank you.
Isn't it one of the problems of putting a fire hydrant in is some of these older neighborhoods have smaller diameter pipes for their main lines, and they can't carry enough water to the hydrant itself.
That is an issue. Mhm.
That is an issue of not being able to put hydrants in certain areas.
Well, and this is
Denise,
about
you're
new
absolutely
subdivisions. Yeah.
Right. That's why it might be a good opportunity to put in more fire hydrants that could be utilized in, you know, the fire trucks could go get water at that hydrant and then go to adjacent neighborhood that don't have the capability, or the Forest Service or whoever's needing the water. I think it's a good thing to leave in.
Devil's advocate, am I going to put a water system in my subdivision that I just got approved for? Am I going to hook up my water system? And like I say, I'm just being devil's advocate. I didn't buy property. Am I going to hook up my water system and my fire hydrants to that 60-year-old water system and be able to supply enough pressure?
Well, and Doney Park Water may just say right from the get-go they can't do it.
They can't do it.
And I'm gonna chime in on behalf of Jim Clifford here also. I have to agree with that assessment and also play devil's advocate. Why ask someone to put in something that cannot be supported?
Right.
Well, if it could be supported, wouldn't it be a good idea to have it in there?
How much more do you want to pay for water?
Well, I think it's like $2,000 to put in a hydrant. And then once the hydrant is installed, because we tried to get one on our street, then the water company takes it over. Or maybe the fire department takes it over. One of those take it over.
Water company, to increase the flow for new hydrants, you're talking multi-millions of dollars and torn up roads for months.
Yep.
What if we edit this to read, new subdivisions should provide fire hydrants to facilitate firefighting efforts when there is adequate water infrastructure?
Well, that sounds good.
That's a good one. That would work very well at the P&Z commission level, I can tell you that.
Or when adequate water infrastructure is available.
There you go. That's even better.
Wow, that's good.
But wait a minute, if it's not available, what if you have 10 acres and it has no piping or anything in it?
Right, and the cost would be prohibitive, most likely, to bring it in at that point.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, the last time I talked to Doney Park Water about that, if they extend their lines, it's $500. It was $500 a foot.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah, I know it's very expensive.
Well, I don't know what the current rate is, but I suspect it is more than that now. This was 2 years ago.
So do you guys, is this adequate as we have it now?
I think that's perfect.
Yep.
Bernice, is this good?
Yes.
Perfect.
If they have an out though, do they have a loophole they could dive into?
Well, this is a should. This is not an absolute. Again, you know, this would be, I mean, these policies are not code. You know, this is the direction that the community would like to see development go in. But, you know, again, it really depends on the particular situation. So
I think with global warming, the more fire hydrants we have, the better.
well, this is a definite push in that direction when it's going to be feasible.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, because that's.
If
Did
they're
you have
putting new lines, why can't they? If they're going to put new lines in anyway, why couldn't they just make them big enough to support a fire hydrant?
Well, probably if they're putting new lines in, they probably would. But a lot, I think there was a recent subdivision approved that had no water supply. It was individual, you know,
Bernice,
water.
the problem is that if you build a new subdivision, you're connecting to an existing line somewhere. And
Right.
that
Right.
existing line doesn't have the capacity. You're not starting from a source with that new line. That's,
Oh. If it was next to a well system though, it might have, well,
and that's why this
yeah,
works just the way it's written.
yeah, I
If,
understand.
if Doney Park Water says, well, you can build your subdivision, but we don't have adequate water supply to feed your subdivision, your homes are going to be hauling water. What is a fire hydrant going to do?
Nothing.
Where's the fire hydrant go and get its water with no water lines in the
So,
subdivision?
yeah, I would suggest that we move on because these
Yep.
scenarios, this is
Good
to
idea.
me, as a planner reviewing the policy document for a new subdivision, this is a good nudge in that direction if the adequate water infrastructure. If it's not, then that's going to be a different discussion.
Yeah, just real quick, a side note on that, when the Johnson Ranch subdivision came up, one of the things that was requested in the pre-app meetings, does Doney Park Water, can they supply adequate water just for the housing that will be developed? That was part of the go forward in the permitting process.
Okay.
All right, great. So the last one under this goal, just to remind us what the goal is, fire and emergency response is provided in an expedient and efficient manner. So the last policy under that goal is interagency cooperation should be encouraged to address and adopt wildland urban interface fire prevention measures and code. The fire district liked that policy in particular because it addresses this bigger update to the WUI fire prevention code. So they liked this policy.
Anyone not like it? Excellent. Let's move on to greater traffic safety is promoted by
the county sheriff's office should be encouraged to work with ADOT, Arizona Game and Fish, and the Forest Service to enforce speed limits and other traffic laws in the planning area, including off-highway vehicles and off-road vehicles on county roads and Forest Service areas. And
Isn't that kind of redundant? You're saying off-highway and off-road. The legal term is off-highway vehicles, OHVs.
yeah, I think we had a note here to add that to the glossary as a definition. So
I think we were supposed to take off-road vehicles out of there.
I think maybe
when we were doing this, Melissa.
There you go.
Yeah.
Looks good.
Okay, and then the next one under greater traffic safety is promoted. Future road improvement districts should consider pedestrian, bicycle, and equestrian safety measures in the planning and design of road improvements. So this would be specific to a road improvement district.
I've got one comment on that. There are two districts. There is a road improvement and a road maintenance district. And that should apply to both. So you just include maintenance, future road improvements, improvement and maintenance. There you go. That's good.
Hey, Melissa, this is Jess. On that PS 12, was it not considered that new subdivisions also?
Well, this is specific to road improvements, but yeah, you're right. Subdivisions.
Yeah, unless that's covered elsewhere. This is where there's real weight in the area plan, is when the Planning and Zoning Commission or the Board of Supervisors is reviewing policies that apply to the public hearing items.
Right.
And a new subdivision, that would be a very good policy if that's what the vision is for the future of this area plan.
Thank you for bringing that up, Jess. And I do know that in the transportation section, there is a lot of discussion about what you just said, but this would also be good to add that here. I think
I'll
we
agree
need
with
to
that.
expand that. Thank you.
I will agree with that because when it gets to the Planning and Zoning Commission, we've had discussions relating to exactly that. What are you going to do about pathways, walkways around and through the subdivision?
Right. And again, when we get to the transportation goals and policies, there is a lot in there related to pathways and, bicycle and equestrian and pedestrian, or rather, pedestrian, bicycle, and equestrian trails. So we'll look at that more, but that's a great call. Thank you.
In PS 11, can we add U.S. Forest Service also in there as enforcement?
It's right here as Jim. It's
Oh, okay.
spelled out
I'm
United
sorry.
States Forest
Yep.
Service.
Okay.
I know.
I'm
We'll
just
go
reading
through,
that
and
yep.
it's not consistent the way it's been put in
Yeah.
policies. It's either we'll make it consistent though.
Okay. Yeah, because you keep on seeing and that's where I missed it. Sorry.
Okay, so the next goal, are we ready to move on, Rob, to the next
Yes.
goal? Alrighty, so the next one is maintain a high level of emergency management planning to educate and inform the community in the event of emergency situations. And then, so these were added since the subcommittee reviewed the public safety goals and policies, because we didn't have, this wasn't filled out, in other words. So these are new since then. The policies, there are 3 policies under here. The residents and homeowners associations are encouraged to contact Coconino County's emergency management for assistance in developing a community emergency communication and evacuation plan to address major highway, railroad, or industrial accidents, wildfires, or flooding that may sever travel routes and communication means in and out of the area. So,
Everyone good with that? Moving on.
okay, the next one would be new industrial developments that present potential hazards should inform the community of contingency plans in the event of an emergency.
Works for everyone?
And then the last one, emergency planning should consider options for providing community refuge centers that serve as clean air hubs and cooling or warming centers to be used during poor air quality events such as wildfires and extreme temperature events.
This is Liz, and in all the other things, we give examples like clean air hubs.
Yeah, and this
I don't understand.
This came up during discussion with the when we were reviewing the sustainability goals and policies.
Okay.
And I guess, there is a movement now in certain areas with climate change and the wildfires that have, we've been experiencing across the West to provide these, and possibly could be the school, for instance, I believe, where they might have an HVAC system that people could go into to get some relief. A lot of people here don't have air conditioning.
Melissa, this would also apply in circumstances when we're doing controlled burns, slash piles, things like that. And there are people with health issues that felt this was a viable alternative to provide to the community.
So that could be wrapped into an emergency planning document.
Okay, so an emergency, because clean air hubs, if we're doing burning, which the Forest Service said we're going to be doing so much more burning that it's going to be like, they're going to call it Anasazi skies. I mean, that's how they described it to me. Because back then they burned a lot and there were always fires going because they let, wildfires go, and they did a lot of burning themselves for agriculture. So these cleaning hubs, so if someone's having an air issue, then they're going to go to the school and sleep. Or is this I guess it's disasters. See, because he was just saying, people brought this in to us because people were talking about when they're doing burning, they can't breathe well. Yeah. So then they're allowed to go and sleep at the school.
Well, again, this is an idea that when emergency planning efforts are undertaken, this is an idea of how to address, and I think it was really intended to be for extreme events.
So should we say that?
Well, it says at the end, such as wildfires and extreme temperature.
Okay.
It doesn't talk about controlled burns.
Okay. Because I thought Rob said something about people brought it in or wanted to bring it in when you're talking about burns. I'm like, well, okay.
I think
so
this is more geared toward emergency planning.
Okay.
But this is this is a new policy. So, and kind of a new idea that came out of some of the other discussions related to sustainability.
The way to visualize this would be the Red Cross setting up an emergency evacuation center kind of environment.
Okay.
Hmm.
Well,
Anybody opposed to that?
I guess we just have to have more clarification or just, well, we're not going to, if we get any more information, it just wasn't, I just didn't really understand it.
What is a
But
clean air hub?
yeah, and what buildings we're going to use it, and everything we ever say about,
It's a clean.
we
air
always
hub,
have,
yeah.
we always have like examples, like the school or the fireplace station, or, and then here we're just going clean air hubs. I'm like, okay, like what? What are you talking about? We're going to go to the animal rescue
Well,
center?
I mean, you could add in here that service clean air hubs and cleaner warming centers located at community facilities. We just talked.
Okay, communities, facilities. Okay, that makes it
Would that
clear.
help?
Like,
it's not.
Yeah.
That we defined earlier, yes.
Let's not try to solve the specific problems. I think it was perfect the way it was. It doesn't have, if we put community facilities in there, I don't know.
okay. I just read it, but maybe people who are going to look at this in the future will understand it. I didn't get it.
Because it also talks about emergency planning, should consider options. So during
Okay.
your emergency planning, that's when we'll figure out where, where those could go, where they should be, and when they
Okay.
should be opened up.
And
I've
it
got to
might not
agree.
be a
I've got to
community
agree with
thing.
Dave on this.
Okay.
It could be like WL Gore. They have HEPA filters in all their buildings. They've got so many buildings. They might donate something to the community. I used to run their training center, and boy, they had the cleanest air in town when it was the worst allergies or smoke from fires. Man, I used to love going to work.
Okay.
I'm hearing
So-
that everyone is good with this the way that it is right now.
Yeah, it's great.
Yes, it
Yep.
is.
And thanks for clarifying it. Thanks for clarifying. I just didn't know what a clean air hub meant. Okay.
Okay.
That's my question.
I think you're going to be on the emergency planning committee.
Right.
So this last one here, flood hazard and mitigation goal, very simple, minimize threats to public safety posed by flood hazards. And then just two policies. Again, these are new since the subcommittee took a look at it. Favor developments that avoid construction on floodplains and do not alter the natural processes and ecological function of flooding. And the second one, encourage the use of floodplains for open space.
I like that.
By preserving floodplains, that is one of the best ways to minimize threats posed by floods.
And that is why the layout that exists over there at Johnson Ranch is there, because there is a pretty good portion of it on the north end of it that it typifies exactly what we are talking about here.
Okay.
All right, is that good? That's the end of the public safety goals and policies. Did anyone have any thoughts about something that was not included or that we needed to address?
We'll take that as a no and move on.
Okay, good job, you guys. Okay, one last document for tonight. And it is a longer one, so we will get through it, I'm
Melissa,
sure.
if I could interrupt for just 1 second, I've noticed when you switched back there, we've got a couple of new folks that have joined us. Just want to let them know that if you decide to stay until the end, there will be another opportunity for public comment if you have something you'd like to share with us.
Thanks, Rob. So this next section is the natural environment, open space, parks, trails, and recreation chapter. And we have several different sections under here. And we, through the editing process, and if I, turn on the messy track change view, you can see the policies and goals that were moved. They're not deleted, but some of them are moved to different sections. So with that, then the first goal is water quality. Water quality of all surface waters and groundwater is protected to preserve or improve existing quality. And then there are two policies under that. One, protection of the existing quality of groundwater resources should be a priority factor in the consideration of approval of residential, commercial, and industrial developments.
I'm good with that.
Okay. 2, development proposals that affect drainage on adjacent properties, roads, or water courses shall include a drainage plan addressing the impacts and provide mitigation measures. This is already required.
I thought it would have been as part of the code.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's already exists in code, does anyone think we need to duplicate it here?
Nope, take it out.
Okay.
Goodbye, number 2.
So there's that one main policy under the water quality goal. Okay. Pretty well written policy there though. So air quality goal, the existing excellent air quality is preserved or improved. And then this first one, and Brian was part of the subcommittee, but I think that Bernice and Liz were too. So this was just slightly wordsmithed. Techniques to minimize airborne particulates due to soil disturbance and erosion during grading of new development for animal keeping and weed control should be encouraged by the county. Financial incentives, information, and seminars regarding appropriate plant materials, watering techniques, and best practices for weed control could be considered.
One question, this is Liz, financial incentives. Do we take that out? I mean, if you do a good yard, are we going to give you a tax credit? Are we going to give you a water break? I don't understand that. Okay.
This would be a tough one. We don't really have
let's take
that.
It out. Power. We don't have that power.
I think that's a good idea to take it out.
So that would
We
read
were counting
information.
on you to provide those financial incentives.
Ah, the committee member.
All right.
Yeah. Okay.
Otherwise, everyone's good with 2. So moving on to 3.
Brian, I heard somebody. Dave, did you want to say something, Dave? Okay.
We'll get to it.
Okay. All right. So number 3 is about dust control on unpaved roads should be mitigated using a variety of techniques. And then this has been organized a bit differently. So now there are the sub policies. The County Department of Public Works should aggressively pursue dust control on county maintained roads by utilizing new products and technology as practicable. So, I know they're always looking at new products, and this just encourages them to do that.
That works.
B, property owners associations should be encouraged to provide dust-free surfaces on roadways within their jurisdiction. This is for your HOAs, if you have them.
What a dust-free surface is defined as what?
Well, I think that, there are different ways, and it kind of goes with one, looking at new products and technology.
But we're calling it something different, and a dust-free surface,
well,
sheets of plywood.
Dust control.
A dust-free. Well, I'll tell you what. When these things come before the P&Z Commission, a lot of times we'll look at it when the applicant doesn't want pavement or they want a waiver. We'll require ABC to limit the amount of dust generated by traffic, say in a business environment, like a truck repair outfit, like out there by Camp Navajo.
I think that was a good point, Rob. I just changed that to be dust control, so it tracks with the other section.
Okay. That'll work.
Okay. C then
Wait, Melissa, sorry. 1 minute. Sorry. Yeah. I know we're not going to wordsmith, but it's just sticking right in the face unless I don't understand it. A and B have semicolons, and the rest of them have periods after their statements. Are those semicolons supposed to be there on B and A at the end of the sentence? B and A. Semicolons. See those semicolons?
Yeah, these are semicolons. You're right. Thank you.
Okay.
And I don't know why it's showing in purple.
And I could send you an email, but I was saying it's so easy to correct it right now. They're too semicolons. Okay. A and B, yeah.
You guys can't resist. That's good. We
I can't. We
like the random, grammatical edits. No, it's good. Yeah. Okay, so C, the county could assist with dust control by finding resources that are most cost-effective road surface materials and provide that information to residents. I think that should come out.
How
That's
about,
good.
rather than could, how about should? We can should them.
Yeah, that's a
Let's should
good
them.
change.
Okay. And then it goes with 1, or rather A.
Right.
Mm-hmm. We could in fact move that around if we wanted to just really get into the details here to do it like that. Okay. And D, the county should consider options for posting county roads to restrict OHV use on unpaved county roads. Rigorous enforcement of laws should be pursued.
Yeah, one of the things that, this is the one that actually has quite a bit of stuff on Facebook about it. Restrict OSV use. Does that mean you can't use OSVs on there, or to be restricted to 15 miles an hour, or what?
Well, if they're on a county road, they have to be registered and insured.
So there's 2 different categories of OHVs, and it depends on how you license them when you purchase it. You can purchase it as an off-highway vehicle only, or license it that way. And then you save considerably, and you don't have a license plate, and you're not required to have insurance because you're driving it off the highway. But most of the folks nowadays because it's legal to drive them on public roads here, tend to register them as both on and off highway vehicles. And when they're registered that way, you can't restrict their use on public roads. They're no different than any other licensed motor vehicle.
And that's why I'll go along with what Rob said. I did this for 30 years in order to be able to run an off-highway vehicle on publicly maintained roads in this state. A lot of people do that for the same reason.
Well, on this policy then, is this appropriately written, or is it more about limiting the speed?
How about limiting the speed for all vehicles, not just OHV vehicles, because a big truck can go down the road 40 miles an hour on an unpaved road and create a lot of dust.
True. Very good.
There are speed limits that exist. All residential roads are speed limited to 25 miles an hour.
Right. So kind of along those lines, I guess I'm trying to figure out, like, what's the difference? Like, why we're concerned about restricting OHV users on roads. As long as they're following the law, then it doesn't really matter what kind of vehicle it is. So there's this part of me that doesn't even understand why we need this.
Yeah, Sailor makes a good point there.
Should we delete this then?
Well,
I think so.
I think we should look at it, because any vehicle on an unpaved road, like I said, is going to make dust. And if it's 25 miles per hour on a county road in a residential area, couldn't it be lowered to 15 if it's unpaved?
Well, some places have that. I mean, I've seen people post their own little speed limit
we
signs
have
if
that
it's
in our
private or
area.
whatever.
Well, and on a county road, though, remember,
Not on county. Not on county.
this is this is specific to county roads, and this is
I see.
So yeah, there are limits in terms of how that can be posted.
That's going to be a case by case thing, I would think, if somebody wanted to petition, and talk to the supervisors or whatever. But yeah, we can't do anything about that.
Well, I would think that what we do here is delete the first sentence and add rigorous enforcement of speed laws should be pursued on all county roads.
Yeah.
Well, this is specific to dust control. This particular policy is specific to dust control. Remember, we're a natural environment.
Speed is what creates excessive dust.
Okay. All right.
How about rigorous enforcement of the motor vehicle laws, or just vehicle?
Okay.
Motor vehicle, I guess, pretty specific.
Raise
too much dust by speeding on your.
Good update.
That way I can't be out there on an unpaved county road doing donuts like I like to do.
Right.
Thanks, Liz.
I didn't say that. I didn't say that.
You
Moving
guys
on.
have too much fun.
Moving on to E.
All right, the formation of county improvement or maintenance districts by individual property owners should be encouraged as a means of solving dust problems and allocating costs to those most effective. The county will continue to provide technical and financial assistance in the formation and implementation of new districts. Now,
Melissa.
yes.
Yeah. No, I want to hear your comment because I've got something to say about this.
Well,
Go ahead.
I know the county does provide technical assistance. I don't know that the county has a lot of financial assistance.
Nope.
So
Nope.
technical assistance is there.
And the beginning
Okay,
of
so
the
let's-
first sentence needs to include road improvement and maintenance districts. The word road.
Oh,
needs to be
road.
there.
Right, road, right, correct. County
Right.
road improvement.
Okay.
Now, my question is, to anybody on board, it could be John Ruggles, because, or it could be Melissa, who is in charge of this? Because road improvement is when it goes to county standards and it's 50%. Road maintenance is 70%. I want to know, why is there such a big, because that is a big difference to get 50%. We elect presidents with less than 50% vote. And so we're
Yeah,
doing.
I don't know. That might be a state rule.
Is it a state rule?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, here's the answer to the question.
Yes, sir.
That is specified by state statute.
Mhm.
It is, okay.
Like any other type of district like that. The list, well, for some real fun reading, read the Arizona revised statutes dealing with what the improvement
My
districts
statutes.
are, what these
Yeah,
districts
so that
are.
comes right out of there then.
Okay, because I'm just saying, people try to get 50% and that's hard enough. You try to get 70% of the people to just give a little bit of money to just maintain the road. And so I think it's in here and it sounds beautiful, but to do that, it's usually one or
It's tough,
two people
right?
work the cost.
Well, that is a daunting lift right
Yes.
there. Mhm.
So, yeah.
But
it's
it
just-
is still available as a tool.
So if I wanted to read the statute, but who's in charge of this? Does anybody know?
Well,
So
this is I believe it's under our finance department where they have the technical information
Okay.
about how to initiate it.
Because I just would love to know why they made this such a difference between 50% and 70%.
Well, like John was saying, that comes from the state level.
Yeah, but I'd just love to know the rationale. But okay, sorry, I know that slowed us down, but I had to ask that.
I'm
Okay.
sure there's some history
Hey.
there, but I don't know it.
Rationale and the legislature are not necessarily one and the same.
Moving
Okay.
All right, so
Sure,
number
thank you.
four. Number
Moving on,
four.
thank you, Robert.
Residents are encouraged to purchase low particulate emission wood stoves and or to retrofit existing units to minimize particulate emissions.
What about gas stoves?
What?
What about gas stoves?
What about them?
We're encouraging people to have wood stoves.
Yeah.
We're
encouraging the low particulate.
This is specific to low particulate wood stoves.
Okay, no, but I think what we're saying is, what we're reading is residents are encouraged to purchase these things.
Oh.
Yeah,
Well-
I have a gas stove, so I don't want to purchase a wood stove.
No.
Word this so that something like low particulate emissive wood stoves that are in, like we need to reword it so that it doesn't.
Yeah, the
It's
use
not
of low
just wood
particulate
stoves.
wood stoves
Right.
are encouraged in both new installations and retrofit.
Yeah, this is if you do this, if you use a wood stove, this is what
Right.
I'd like to see you do.
Right.
When using or retrofit, or when installing or retrofitting a wood stove, the use of low particulate wood stoves is recommended.
Rob's got the wording, that's it.
Yep.
Okay. Can you
Rob,
get
one more time? Sorry, I was reading the chat.
when initiating or something,
Now,
right?
now, when installing or retrofitting
Installing.
a wood stove, the use of a low particulate stove is recommended. They all have catalytic converters on them now by code also, so it's getting better and better.
Okay.
Retrofitting should be retrofit instead of retrofitting.
Okay.
installing retrofitting.
You lost me here.
Yeah.
Installing or trees.
Be
They're
retrofitting.
encouraged. That. Yep. That works.
And I just said stoves because it's, I think that then it doesn't limit it to wood stoves.
Right.
Well.
Because
Okay.
it could be a gas stove, like Bernice said.
Well, a gas stove doesn't have any real particulate emission.
Okay.
But either way is fine.
Okay. Yep, it doesn't matter.
Could we go back to D, that says rigorous enforcement of laws should be pursued? I was wondering if we could keep, the county should consider options for reducing deaths on unpaved county roads.
Well,
Well, this is all about
That's
dust
a-
control on unpaved roads should be mitigated using a variety of techniques.
That does it. I
Oh,
think.
okay. Where was that? Which one?
So
was
that's this is like a sub policy. So it's NE3.
that? Okay. Right, but it's listing the,
Well, look at A, Bernice, though. Look at A. County Department of Public Works should aggressively pursue dust control on county.
there you go. Okay, I'm sorry. I should have reread that.
There's a lot
Okay,
here.
That's good. That's good.
Okay,
So
moving
the
on.
National Forest issue goals.
Okay, so we are at 7:37 and we're about halfway through this chapter. So ecosystem health is improved and the risk of catastrophic wildfire is reduced through active forest management. First policy. Would ask everybody to mute, please, if you're not muted. Sorry.
Hey, Liz.
There, I got it. The Forest Service, in conjunction with the county, should implement measures to improve forest health and reduce the threat of wildfires in forest areas adjacent to residential areas. Neighborhoods adjacent to the affected forest are encouraged to participate in this effort.
That works. Good cooperative efforts.
But what are these efforts? I mean, is this to include, reduction of motor vehicle travel in closed areas?
No, this is specifically with respect to wildfires.
Right. We had a wildfire last summer north of Doney Park that was told that they think it was from a muffler on an ATV without a spark arrestor that was driving through tall grass.
Okay.
Thank you. Good job.
The specific goal is addressing. This one is talking about taking efforts like thinning and that kind of stuff.
This is specifically to improve forest health.
Okay.
Okay, so this is, I think, a pretty commonly understood cooperative effort here by the Forest Service and the county to take advantage of those efforts.
But may I just ask, Bradley, what would you like us to add? What was your concern? It was about the fire, but how do you think that we should address this? Have you been with us the whole evening?
No, I came in late. And so did I,
Okay.
during this talk about motor vehicles?
Yeah.
We
Okay.
haven't talked about motor vehicle impact on fire safety. No.
Okay. Yeah, because that's my biggest fear about motor vehicles is that, up in the OHV area, they don't even require vehicles to stay on trails. And, when we're out hiking, we see ATVs just going through the forest off trail entirely where there's tall grasses. And there's no signage whatsoever to let the ATV riders know that the area is closed and that there's a fire hazard.
So I would suggest that we continue to keep that thought in mind. Let's review the rest of the policies because I believe that a concern may be addressed.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we need to address that because he said something about mufflers and I think that's
So
great, like
remember
smokers.
that. So this
Okay.
is something, as far as the Forest Service looking at this, they'll get ideas as far as what the
Okay.
community wants. We're not going to write policy for the Forest Service, right? As far as
Okay.
how they manage their land. But keep that idea in mind. I think that, safety issues, in terms of communities that are adjacent to the Forest Service,
Yes.
that's really what we need to focus on. And I think that's what this is trying to get to.
Okay. Just make sure you put a note that we address that, because that was from the community.
All right, number 6.
The Forest Service is requested to prohibit dispersed camping and campfires within 1 mile of private property in the interest of resource protection and urban interface fire protection.
Doesn't that already exist?
Well, this is, I don't know actually if they already do this, but we can ask. I've sent this document to the Forest Service to review, so I haven't gotten comments back yet. But we
I'm
will
not
get
aware of any restrictions on not
Well,
being able to camp.
so like, if, for example, over off of Little Eldon Springs Road in that housing area, like there's some signs that say basically like you can't camp here, you can't have a campfire here, even though it's Forest Service. So it's really not consistent. As far as that goes, it just sort of depends on your location. Because maybe across the road, a half a mile, you could do that. But on the other side of the road, near the housing area, you can't. But that doesn't necessarily mean there's a mile between them.
Well, and what I'm seeing also is that there are areas that are closed to camping, but people are camping there. Again, even though the area is closed, there's no signage indicating it. So maybe.
Yeah, again, that's a Forest Service policy. And if you're just joining us now, this area plan is specific to the Doney Park, Timberline, Fernwood area.
Right.
Right. Okay, good.
So should this community member go to the Forest Service and give his concerns about what they should do? Because, I mean, we should give him an option if he's got a concern, what to do with his concern, right?
Well, Liz, I think that's the right answer. That there's nothing
Okay.
that the area plan can do relating specifically to those 2 issues.
Okay. So I was just trying not to write him off. I was just trying to say, maybe go, yeah.
What I'm saying is I see here in the plan that it says to prohibit camping, but prohibiting camping doesn't do any good if there's no signs.
Yeah.
I would consider prohibiting camping, part of prohibiting camping would be posting and enforcing it.
Posting, right, posting, yeah, signage.
So this policy says the Forest Service is requested to prohibit dispersed camping and campfires within 1 mile private property. How they do that is, then if you want to get detailed about putting signs and things like that, I don't know that that's really helpful here, because they would then, have their own management strategies for honoring or looking at this request. Does that make sense?
Well, partially because, and again, I'm sorry if I know I came in late and I'm hoping I'm not steering things off, but there are so many areas that, if you look on the motor vehicle map, it shows that most of these areas are closed to camping. But, so if we're asking the Forest Service to prohibit camping, they're going to say, well, we already do that. We don't need to take any action on this matter, and they'll move on.
Hey, Bradley, can I just ask you really quick, what map are you looking at?
What's that?
What map are you looking at where it's saying that there's no camping on the Forest Service?
It's the motor vehicle travel map.
Okay, I know that one. The white one you get for free.
No, there's an online PDF one.
Oh, okay.
And it doesn't load very well on most devices.
Okay, so yeah, I just want to keep us on track because it's now.
Well, the whole. I'm sorry. The whole reason I was asking though is just because this sentence right here is, if it's a Forest Service policy, then we're asking them to enforce their own policy. But we have to wait to hear back from them to even know if that's their policy consistently or not. And so I guess that really the statement can't be evaluated until the Forest Service even know exactly what that is.
And,
Melissa, perhaps you could take this as an action. We can do some research on this particular issue, and then both get back to the rest of the committee and to Brad so that we can continue moving through the rest of these items right now, since we don't seem to know the answers here. So
Yeah, that's all I was saying is like, let's
That's
find the answer to that
perfect.
first.
Yeah, he had
Yeah,
a concern. We've got to have an answer. So,
Well, and like I said, the Forest Service has this document. They'll be looking at it and getting us comments
Okay.
back. So what I'm hearing Bradley say is that you're looking for some specific strategies or management actions that the Forest Service will use to implement that. Is that correct?
Yes, that's exactly right.
perfect. Good job, Bradley. Yep.
I agree with Bradley that that is a real problem with people with no spark arresters and no mufflers riding off trail through the woods around the Turkey Hills too.
Okay, follow up on that then. So that was 6. Should we move on, Rob?
yes, please.
Okay. All right, so that was one of the goals about ecosystem health is improved and the risk of catastrophic wildfire is reduced through active forest management. The next goal is the community is involved in land management decisions affecting public lands in the study area. And there are several policies under this goal. The Forest Service is encouraged to emphasize visual or scenic quality, neighborhood recreation, and wildland urban interface fire protection as primary objectives of management activities in the study area. That's a lot for them to do, but it's encouraging them to, asking them to specifically focus on these areas in their
One
management
question,
activities or
Melissa.
in their management plans.
Why are we referring to it as a study area? Aren't we talking about
in the
a
planning area. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, number 8, the Forest Service should actively seek and consider Doney Park, Timberline, Fernwood community input regarding land exchange proposals in the planning area.
I don't think anybody can argue with that.
All right, and I think they would. That would be part of their requirements for public outreach. Number 9, the rural growth boundaries designated by the Flagstaff Regional Plan as adopted by the county are incorporated into this area plan to discourage exchange of forest lands adjacent to residential areas.
I think everyone support that also.
Yep. Yep.
The Old Caves Crater, Turkey Tanks, O'Neill Crater, the Rio de Flag, and other significant archaeological sites urgently require preservation by the Forest Service and should not be considered for exchange in any future Forest Service plans.
What about Turkey Hills?
We have it on, what about
It
it?
says Turkey Tanks. Is
It
that
says
different?
Turkey Tanks, but Turkey Hills is different than Turkey.
Oh, because it's bigger. You're right, Melissa. You're right.
Is that
You're
an
right.
archaeological site?
Yes, there's lots of pit houses.
Yes. Yep. Yep. Pit houses and yep.
Just replace tanks with hills.
I think there are 2 places though, is what I'm hearing.
It's 2 places.
Add Turkey Hills, please.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, 11, the area plan recognizes and supports efforts by the U.S. Forest Service and Flagstaff Trails Initiative to develop a network of non-motorized recreational trails in adjacent forest areas.
Yep.
So it just says recognizes and supports efforts. Does this actually mean there's any pressure being put on these to give short-term attention to the area?
Well,
Brad,
these efforts are going on right now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Brad,
you
we had a
missed it. We had
presentation.
Sorry.
Brad, we had a presentation the beginning of the meeting from the
Okay.
Forest Service specifically about trails initiatives,
Okay.
and there's a lot of activity going on.
And it's calling these out specifically to, at least today in 2021, looking
Brad,
at these efforts.
This meeting video will be available later, so you can take a
Okay,
look.
great, thank you.
And there's a lot of information about what the Forest Service gave about the trails connecting to the Futz Trail. So that's something that you can get from Melissa, the connection to talk to the presenter tonight, because it's good stuff. You'll love it.
Yeah, and we'll post his, we will post his presentation on our website, on our webpage. So the next goal is conflicts among users of the National Forest is minimized to ensure public safety and preservation of adjacent neighborhood tranquility. The Planning and Zoning Commission and Board of Supervisors should require all new subdivisions or development in the planning area adjacent to federal land to provide adequate protection from livestock intrusion by using wildlife-friendly fencing standards. In critical wildlife areas or corridors, Forest Service and Arizona Game and Fish input on fencing requirements will be requested and incorporated as appropriate.
Isn't federal land already fenced? I mean, there's
Not all of it. And
a 3-wire. Okay.
What about new subdivisions providing Forest Service access that they would be cutting off by the presence of their subdivision?
Well, that's what this talks about, using wildlife-friendly fence standards. In critical wildlife areas or corridors, Forest Service and Arizona Game and Fish input on fencing requirements will be requested and incorporated as appropriate.
Yeah, it says to provide adequate protection from livestock, but it doesn't provide access through the subdivision into the service land or whatever public land it is.
Well, I'd like to comment on that. When this sort of thing comes before the Planning Commission or initially to Community Development, recently the Forest Service is rather picky about how many access points within a subdivision you may have, because they do not want the creation of more social trails. So we have limited this considerably in some instances, so that you just don't have an easement with access to the forest without it being appropriately evaluated by the Forest Service. I know it would be nice to be able to just walk out there anywhere you want, but when you create a subdivision and you add more people, the social trail network is going to expand if you don't control it one way or the other.
Right, I understand that, but if there is already a trail there and then they put in a subdivision and it blocks that trail access, what do you do then?
Well, that's a matter of private property. If you own the property and there's a social trail across it, you have every right to prohibit access. And some developers do that.
So Bernice, are you talking about access for people hiking or for wildlife?
For everything.
Yeah, I mean, if it's a private land and there's a trail or a social trail, as John was mentioning, then that's something that, you know, may or may not be continued depending on what the property owner is planning on. If, you know, if there's an easement, that's one thing. And then if it's a well-used trail, then, you know, a lot of times those easements can be somewhat negotiated during the process.
But it would be nice for the county to give a property tax break and a liability release from a property owner that allows an easement across their property for people to use to access the Forest Service. That's what we did in Southern California when we worked on the Pacific Crest Trail. It worked real well.
Well, welcome to Arizona. I can tell you that the liability issue with easements right now, I don't have the case law at hand right now, but that easement, there is precedent-setting case from about 13 or 14 years ago that said, great, you have an easement, you are liable. And not only are you liable for that, but you have to provide access across that easement in a safe manner. You have to maintain it safely.
Yeah, we'd have to get our legal.
Anyway,
yeah,
you know, that's beyond.
Yeah, we would have to get, you know, Bernice, to put something like that in there. We would have to get, you know, legal advice from our legal staff, and I just don't have an answer as far as whether or not we can do that. It doesn't sound like from what John knows that we probably can't go that route.
John, did you say that was a state law?
You would probably have to, no, it's not a state law, it's a case law.
Oh, okay. Okay.
It is a
Good.
precedent.
Okay.
It was a precedent-setting decision by the Division I Court of Appeals. And I don't have the name of the case at hand. Nevertheless, it's very important to me because I have an access easement across my property
Yeah,
and I am liable.
right.
If
And in
somebody hurts me.
Cosmino, we had that too. Each lot behind Cosmino has an easement behind it. And the association, I believe, paid for the insurance on those.
Right.
easements.
Well, that
Yeah.
would really be great, but
Yeah,
Well,
but
we
to
could
change-
insert
to
something
change
like that
this-
would add value to people's property, or not value to people's property, but as we grow and develop, we're going to be cutting off access to the forest.
So
Well-
this goal, just to kind of bring us back around, is specific conflicts among users of the national forest lands is minimized to ensure public safety and preservation of adjacent neighborhood tranquility. So things like trail access is down further in these policy documents. So here's
Okay, so that
trails
would
and
be-
recreation goals and policies. So I'm going to do a time check, Rob. It's 7:56.
Yeah, we're obviously
We are
not going to make it.
halfway.
yeah.
I'm thinking if we're halfway, a halfway spot is a good break point.
Okay, so actually kudos to everybody because this is, we got, what, 2/3 of the way through, which is great. What's that, Dave?
I almost, yeah, I was just thinking that we should be able to finish it off pretty quick if we don't get sidetracked.
I mean, that's the decision of the group. And
I'd like to quit. It's my
I'd like to.
birthday,
Okay.
and I need to go spanking.
I think any 16 would require quite a bit of discussion.
Yeah. I think this stuff is really important and we can't rush.
Yeah, I don't want to,
Yeah, I don't wanna rush it.
Get it done, so.
Right.
okay, I'm
I'm-
going to put a note where we ended here
I'm going to call.
today, March 11th.
The official time of death is 7:58.
Oh, no, that's not good. So that's where we ended. Great. I'm going to
And-
stop the share and just go back to the schedule really quick. Does somebody have a comment here?
One thing really quickly here, one of the things that I think might be worthwhile at this point in time would be to ask anyone who wishes to make a public comment to keep it to 3 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever.
I think we had established a 3-minute.
Yeah.
Okay.
We talked about that in the beginning of the meeting also, and we will do that once again here. So if you want to pull up the schedule for us there, Melissa.
Yep, let me get to it real quick.
So we got through part of 5. We have not touched on 6 or 7. Schedule wise, though, I think we do need to look at our future next meeting timeline.
Right, and I just wanted to talk just 20 seconds about community outreach planning.
Okay.
So we are hoping that we could, and this is something for you all to consider. We'll look at the schedule next slide. If you want to have a double meeting in April, so we can actually finish the goals and policies. And then we could have an open house in May. Okay, so that's something to consider. We didn't get to it tonight, but that self-guided driving tour is live now. It's hosted on the Story Map site. I can very quickly show that to you because it's something that the committee spent quite a bit of time on at our February 25th meeting, came up with the route, and we've done quite a bit of work to get that going for you. So let me just go through the schedule real quick, and then I'll just show you where to find that and how to access the tour route map and then the survey questions that go with it.
Okay.
All right, so think on that. We can talk at our next meeting about whether we need a second meeting in April in order to move toward an open house in May. Does that sound reasonable?
How
Yes.
about having an open house in June? We might have less COVID restrictions. And I really don't want a double meeting in April.
Well, I don't, Bernice, at this time, I do not anticipate that it will be in person. This is a virtual open house, right?
Whether it's in May or June.
Okay.
Yeah. So we can talk about that, but ideally we'll get it in May. And then here's the schedule. So, you know, we're currently drafting vision, goals, and policies. And then, you know, we had the survey out in October, hoping to do a virtual open house in May, maybe a second one in July, or we'll certainly want to make sure that you're complete and have completed your review. And then we're starting to make a little bit of headway in terms of drafting the plan and, you know, updating the text. And looks like public hearings and final approval may be pushed out to the fall then, if we're not going to have an open house until July. Okay. The next meeting will be April 8th, another Thursday.
Bernice, you mentioned, and Melissa, that you don't feel like having, even if we just did it, that we just finished, if it was just like an hour and a half that we finished this, or an hour that we finished this one, you don't feel like you want to have another meeting? So we don't have to drag it into the next meeting, but we could just, no? Is everybody like, doesn't want to have a second meeting?
I'm
I'd
okay
be in
with the
favor
second
of
meeting.
a mini meeting to finish.
Yeah, see, that's what I say. Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, I could sign up for that.
Yeah.
So do you want to then decide in April?
Yeah.
Did my screen stop sharing, or are you still seeing the slides?
In the PowerPoint.
Still see it.
Okay, because I'm going. Sorry, my cat just like gave me a message, so I had to laugh. So I wanted to show you this though.
Not your cat.
Not the cat. Don't worry, I won't be that weird.
So if we do a special meeting to get through the other half of what we just were on, are we going to do that in March, or are we going to do that before our April 8th meeting?
Well, that's up to you all. What I heard was that we would have the April 8th meeting and then decide if we need a second meeting after that. That's what I heard.
I think we could do a mini meeting between now
I-
and late.
I do too. Yep.
Oh, okay.
That's what I heard. I heard mini meeting
Okay.
before April.
To
Yeah.
finish this up and then maybe jump
Correct.
into the next one. Okay.
Yep.
I'm with Liz and Rob on that.
Because Melissa, we're hardworking people here.
I know you are. You guys are amazing.
Amazingly sick.
Amazing. What are you seeing right now?
Nothing.
Nothing? Okay.
Well, Doney Park, Timberline, we're seeing a blank web page. There it is.
There we go.
Okay.
There we go.
Here's your story map, and then we'll look at
Okay.
the calendar real quick. So this is the overview tab, and then the next tab, new and now, self-guided driving tour.
Cool.
So this is the route map that you all came up with, right? And then there's a little bit of an explanation about this. Here, if you click on a survey, I'll click on it just to show you what happens.
Okay.
So if you have really good cell phone service, you can drive around with this, go on a browser, get here, and what it will do, it will actually, like if you click on Activity Center 1, it's going to now give a point, okay? So we'll see when we collect the data where you were when you made your comment. And then it also is going to require you to do this drop-down menu, pick on Activity Center 1, answer the questions, right? You don't have to do this, but it's an option. These were the questions that you all thought would be helpful. And then you hit submit. When you hit submit, I can just do this.
Can you send us a link to that?
Yeah, you should have this. So I keep trying to get you guys used to going here. It's right here, but I will definitely send you the link to this.
I don't even know how to get there. I can't see. Everything's too small to read.
Oh, no. Okay. All right. Yeah, I'll send you a link. So back to the tour. And what you do have to do, it won't let you submit unless you answer the questions. Okay. But once you do submit, I'll do a test just to show you. Okay. And I know you can't see it, Bernice, but it says, great, your data was sent successfully for that activity center. Click on submit another survey to continue. So then if you want, you can go through and fill out the questions for each of the activity centers. Okay.
Yeah, I won't be able to use my phone for that. I know.
No, but I know you won't, or a lot of people won't. I couldn't because I don't have enough data on my
I
phone,
don't have enough data.
but I could come home and do it online.
Right, right.
And that's what this says in the description. How does it work?
Yeah.
So if you all want to look at this, if you need edits, feel free to send them over to me. And what we're going to do is we're going to have a link to a PDF where people can just print this off instead.
That would be good.
Okay, so that will be there as well.
Send us a PDF?
Yeah, we have it all together, and then we're going to have a flyer made up. With a QR code, we'll post those around and send it out to you guys. You can post it on your Facebook pages, and it will take people right into this story map page.
Nice work. Tell everybody nice work.
All
right.
right.
Nice work.
Nice work, you guys.
Yeah.
I mean,
All right, so yeah, just give it a test.
So Melissa, when we go to this is this what we're going to see when we go to the website?
Yep, I'm on the website. This is exactly what you'll see.
Okay, so the blue lines that are going through the neighborhoods, those are not going to have names on those roads.
You can zoom in.
What road you can? Okay,
zoom
that's what I wanted.
I'm sorry,
okay.
I should have shown you that because
There you go. All right, I wanted to make
see
sure
the
that
names.
was there.
And
okay.
then what we'll have as well is written instructions. So if somebody wants to just print out a turn by turn, they can do that.
Yeah. When are you going to send that out?
So there's a little weird thing. I've got to figure out how to link a PDF and put the link on this, but it'll either be tomorrow or early next week, Bernice. Okay. Oh, I can send you the email. I can put the link right in the chat.
Well, you could put the PDF on an email to us.
Oh, I will. Yes, I'll get everything to you guys.
Okay, sounds good.
And then yeah, if you we'll test it. That would be helpful.
Yeah.
And there's the link to this right in the chat if anybody wants to grab it now, but we'll send you. Yeah, Bernice, we'll send you everything that you could possibly want.
Yeah, because Bernice and a lot of us are going to have to do it before we go, because if you don't do it on your phone, how are you going to find this path? There you go.
So there are options. I mean, honestly, it's not like an app for your phone. We don't have that ability.
Okay.
So
so you just got to look at it before you go. You got to.
Or print it out and
yeah.
Take it. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Or then just go driving around and then make notes and come home and go online and do the survey.
Yeah. But you got to know where to drive around. That's what I'm saying. You got to make this big and see what you're doing and then go do it.
Yeah, you can zoom in, and it's such a large area. That's kind of the idea, to help people.
How much data everyone said I don't have enough data on my phone to do it. How much data do you need? I
have no idea.
Okay. Because I was thinking if everyone's got 5 gigabytes, you should probably, but anyway, okay.
That's not my area of expertise. So that's what I wanted to show you. Back to the PowerPoint then, and see if it will.
Perfect. That's nice.
Well, thank you everybody for, that side meeting that you did. I'm not sure. There it is. So with that then, Rob.
Yes.
We are at our final slide.
Excellent. So we have once again an opportunity for public comment. As was mentioned, we super value any comments from the public that are participating here this evening. We would ask that if you've got a comment to share, that you identify yourself and then share your comments. We'd like to limit those to 3 minutes each. And if you have something beyond that, please submit that via email to Melissa. So with that, I will open the floor to public comment from anyone that's here that would like to share. Man, we're striking out a second time. I'm so disappointed. I want people to be involved.
Can I say something, please?
Absolutely, please do.
Hello? All right. Hello, this is Jeronimo Vasquez. I just wanted to thank everybody for their time. I wasn't very talkative or throwing things in just because I was absorbing everything that you were doing and the work that you're doing. But I just want to say that we appreciate all the work that you're doing and putting into this. I'm really excited to see how the final product comes out. So thank you, everyone. Good job tonight.
Thanks, Geronimo.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Any other public comment from anyone?
I do hear somebody talking.
Hello?
Yes.
Yes.
This is Judy Begay calling in, or listening all along, and I just want to thank everyone for being diligent and working and trying to make these plans, work and to being compliant, and also to address the needs in the area that Doney Park and Timberline area. I know it takes a lot of time, but I think I'm really excited to see how it's going to come out, and I think that all areas within the communities, I think they really be aggressive in their plans as far as how they would like to see the communities out there. And so just want to say thank you for all the hard work you're doing, and of course, some of this information that you shared with us is going to come before us during our board meeting. So. But if there's any questions you might have, for our office, and I know Geronimo's on there, please, contact us, and we might be able to pitch in a little bit too. So until it comes before the board, but it's always good to have a lot of people involved, so that transparency is important. And so I just want to say thank you. And there's a lot of good plans in place already. And I'm thinking that, it could be excellent, with other people's input. And I understand that you have a lot of comments that were submitted, and those would, would be very helpful to from what I think. So thank you very much, everyone. The committee members and the community that's on board right now, and thank you for inviting us. And certainly I will be at your next meeting, to listen. And thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Judy. Really glad you're here. Or should
Thank you so much, Judy. Yep.
Supervisor Begay, we should say. We're used to calling Liz, so Supervisor Begay.
Yeah.
We're so
Thank you very much.
All right. Do we have any other public
Hi,
comments?
Melissa.
Go ahead.
Yes.
Hi. Hi, Melissa. This is Naomi.
Hi.
I just wanted to, I've been on a lot of your meetings, probably almost from the beginning, maybe. And, I really like the way you guys separate, the visions, the goals, the policies and everything. It's really, I guess, something more like a learning experience for me. And I really like the way, you guys separate it. And then you also look at, the ordinances that are already there. And I think, you guys are doing a really good job in putting all of this together. And, you guys really work together. And I just want to say, good job to everybody. And I just want to thank you for having me, a part of these meetings. So thank you.
Thanks,
Our
Naomi.
pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks, Naomi.
Naomi, what good words, Naomi. Thank you.
Really appreciate it.
Any other public comment?
Yes,
You're
hi.
welcome. Thank you.
Jason.
Yes, my name is Jason Mercado. I'm kind of new to the area. I got in late on the conversation about the fire hydrants. I have two questions. The first one is there any plans in place to put fire hydrants like on the main roads? And my other question is, I go to I don't know who owns it, if it's county, city, the landfill quite a bit. There is like a tremendous amount of potholes. Who is responsible for that? Those are my two questions.
Well, I can give it a shot. The road going to the landfill road, I believe, is a county maintained road.
It is.
And so it's the supervisors that you just heard speak are the folks that you may want to share your thoughts and considerations with there. And then with respect to fire hydrants, the Doney Park Water Commission or cooperative is responsible for all the water around here. And I suspect that they would tell you that the cost of trying to put hydrants in anywhere would be prohibitively high, primarily because the majority of the existing water lines don't support that kind of water flow in the first place. So it would be a huge overhaul of the entire infrastructure in order to do that.
I agree. I know it would cost a lot, but when you have people's livelihoods at stake, I think there you cannot put a price on that. And as far as the landfill goes, the road, is there anything in the future of filling potholes? You know, who cares if it's even with dirt? Just something, because our vehicles are getting messed up, and I understand that we got the big, humongous tanks going through there. I get all that, but it's just a lot of damage to our personal vehicles that we use, that we're thankful that we're able to use. What are the plans in that as far as fixing the roads? Is there any plans?
Well, and Jason, the other thing I would suggest is the neighborhood watch meetings that we have always have representatives from the county public works department. And those are the folks that would be maintaining those roads. So that might be another avenue you could pursue, going to those meetings and talking directly with those folks that are responsible for that maintenance.
That would be, would that be, you said the county, right? I'll have to go through the county to speak with them.
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, and the
Okay.
neighborhood watch meetings, are those posted on your Facebook pages? Those,
They are in Doney Park, yeah.
they are?
Yep, at the two different fire stations and.
Right.
Yep.
So that's another way to find
I
it.
posted the last one for Doney Park on nextdoor.com for the last one.
Okay.
I try when I get them and I'm around, I can do that, but sometimes I'm gone, so I don't have a
They're
chance.
also included in the supervisor's newsletters in the past. At least I know Supervisor Archuleta did that. And so, Jason, I would encourage you to make sure to get on the mail list for your district supervisor.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Jason,
All right.
Jason, I would encourage you to call the road department at the county too.
Okay.
It's public. That's public works
Public
specifically.
Works.
Mhm.
Public Works, yes. I know we passed a road tax here not too many years ago to fix our roads, and they have been using it to fix roads. They might have some more information for you.
Well, and they have a road maintenance schedule, and I do not know what it is for that particular road. So you could contact them and they can give you information on that. I did have a question. Anyone, because we have quite a few new people joining us tonight, and how did you find out about the meeting? What, are you on the mailing list and you're just joining in? Is that how you found out? Does anyone? Because if you're not,
Yeah, I was on the mailing list. I don't know how
Okay.
I got on the mailing list, but I'm glad I am on the mailing list.
well, if you responded to the survey, then you got on the mailing list
Okay, that was probably it.
I found out through Facebook.
through
the Doney
Facebook.
Park. Yes.
Okay, and so Jason M, then, if you're not on the mailing list, and if you would like to get on the mailing list, then please contact me so I can update that.
Okay, no problem.
I'm going to put my email address in the chat right now.
Any other public comment? It's awesome that we got some. I appreciate that very much. And if there is no other final thoughts from anyone, I think that we can say it's safe to adjourn this meeting and wait, we didn't schedule our mini meeting, did we?
That's what I was
No,
just
we
going
didn't
to
schedule
say.
the mini
Yeah,
meeting.
we got to do our mini meeting. Yeah.
And there's a question in the chat. When is the neighborhood watch meeting? It's just, I do know it's just on Zoom right now, but are they the first week of the month?
They're
For Doney Park, they are.
It depends on which one it is, whether it's Doney Park or Timberline Fernwood. Timberline Fernwood is the first Tuesday of the month.
And Doney Park is the first Thursday, I believe.
Yes, the
At
first
6
Thursday of the
o'clock.
month. 6 o'clock.
6
yeah.
o'clock Thursday, the first
Okay.
Thursday.
Thank
And
you.
John Paxton
Yes.
at the Sheriff's Department is the one that sends out the notices.
So if anyone wants to get on that list, contact John Paxton at the county sheriff's office.
all right. So a mini meeting.
Let me get out of here and I'll look at a calendar.
I
Yeah,
would
let's look at the calendar.
suggest starting with 2 weeks from today.
Yeah.
25th of March.
Yep.
That's good to me.
Hang on
And
1 second. Let me open
start
my,
at our
Let me
normal
see.
5
What is-
o'clock time and make it last no longer than 2 hours.
Oh my gosh, 2 hours. We should be done with that thing.
I'm thinking far less, but
okay, hang
I'm
on.
also being
So, March 25th, that looks good. Okay.
love it when a plan comes together.
At 5 o'clock?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Hey, that date sounds great. That is not the day after the P and Z commission hearing.
That is correct. That's why I said the 25th.
I thought so.
All righty. So we have our meeting planned
A mini
for
meeting.
the 25th at 5 p.m. Our objective for that meeting will be strictly to complete tonight's agenda
In 30 minutes.
or less.
Hey, wait, Liz, what do you expect me to do? Drink some of that nice Macy's coffee that you brought by?
All right. Any other open items left that we need to discuss this evening?
I think that's it.
All right. Thank you all very much. I appreciate everyone's participation and the friendship here. So
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, everybody.
Hey, thanks,
Thanks,
Rob.
everybody.
I see you're
Have a
still
Well
great night.
smiling. That's
Good job.
Thank you. You too. Bye.
Thanks, everybody.
Take
Thank
care.
you.
Thanks. Good night.
Good night.
All right.
Nighty night.
Night.
Nighty.
Liz, we'll get in
Yes.
touch to finish
Good
that
night, everyone.
transportation.
Let's just get it, knock it out. Yep.
All right.
Okay, bye.
Bye. Have a good night.
You
And
too.
Melissa, you're going to send out the recording as an email message?
No, what we do, I have to download it and then we post it on our Doney Park Timberline Fernwood webpage.
Okay.
So
And is that also where there's
Yeah,
the trail plans?
hang on one second. Let me just look at this. I can't hang up before I let me put it in the chat.
Okay, thank you. I'm really curious about that.
So all of our meeting agendas, the videos, the notes, the presentations are on our webpage, and I'm going to put that in the chat right now. Hang on.
Okay, thanks. Oh my goodness. Okay. You are being needy for attention. And I didn't bring it up in the meeting, but I do have a lot of photographs of some vandalism of signage. That's occurred over the last few weeks. Could I send that on to you?
Is that on like Forest Service land?
Yeah, it's the road closed signage. Someone was out there. They've torn up about 25 signs and just thrown them into piles.
You can send it to me. What I would do then is just send it on to the Forest Service. So, you know, I can connect you with the Forest Service to do that. Do you see the link that I put in the chat there?
I do. All right, let me go ahead and
So just
bookmark that.
grab that, and that goes right into our webpage, and that's where everything is put up.
Okay, fantastic.
And you'll find the link to the story map. Yeah, so.
All right, excellent. Thank you so much.
No, thank you for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Yep. Sorry I came late. I completely spaced on it. So
no worries. It's all good. And it's funny. I mean, I started the recording like just at the beginning of the Forest Service presentation. So, but that's okay. Most of what he talked about is there.
Okay, wonderful.
Okay.
All right,
Have a good night.
you.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.